Chapter 31, Heart of Tranquil Water. Heart of Tranquil Water. Grabbing hold of the book from Shen Bairu, Elder Mo takes a glance at it and his entire body trembles. This should be impossible. All right, is there still anything you are unsure of that you would like to consult? If not, I'll be leaving. Zhang Xuan looks at them with puzzlement reflecting on his face. Are these two fellows sick? If they wanted to consult him, they should have come up with some harder questions. Yet, they chose to ask those that have been answered within the books. He didn't even have to churn his brain to derive out an answer for them. How boring. To think that one of them is a librarian and an expert while the other one is a reputable and popular teacher. To be unable to match up to a transcender like me, they are truly lacking in knowledge. If you don't mind, I have another question that has been plaguing me. How would you interpret circulating a cycle of QI, reflecting the sight of 10,000 creations? Suppressing the disbelief in his mind, Elder Mo continues to ask. Another elder has raised this question with him a few days ago. After being stumped by it, he has been scavenging the compendium pavilion to seek an answer to it, but to no avail. Thus, he could only depart from the library dispirited. Now that the young lad before him had answered several questions, he couldn't resist bringing it up to him. You don't even know that? Zhang Xuan looks at him as though he is looking at an idiot. That is the utmost basics of cultivation, all right? It refers to the phenomenon where while one's QI is circulating through one's body in a complete cycle, one's mind would seem to be in a state of wandering around the entire world as they comprehend the rules behind creationism. These words are recorded in Senior Bai Ming's Theories of Blood and QI. The book is on the 27th shelf and the explanation is on the 69th page. Circulating a cycle of QI, reflecting the sight of 10,000 creations, this is one of the few flawless teachings that are in the Fighter 1 Dan cultivation technique manuals, thus it left quite an impression with Zhang Xuan. It happens that a predecessor of Hongshan Academy had once deciphered it, so he paid additional notice to it. Why would an elder, who is the sentinel of the compendium library, need to direct such an easy question towards him? Elder Mo didn't reply to his words immediately and instead, just like Shen Bairu, walks into the compendium pavilion hurriedly. A short moment later, he finds the book titled Theories of Blood and QI and flips it over to the 69th page. His body staggers. It is exactly as he described. A few days ago, that elder flipped through many different secret manuals but couldn't find an answer to his question. Never in his dreams would he have imagined that it would be recorded in an obscure book. Such an obscure book. To think that he would have read it, to the extent of even remembering the pages? Elder Mo feels the world spinning around him and everything seems so ludicrous to him in this instant. If it isn't for his consideration for his image, he might be tugging on the ends of his hair at this moment. A moment ago, he accused the other party of causing trouble in the library. In the end, not only is he reading books properly, he even memorized the contents contained within it. He feels a fiery sting on his face and fervently wishes for a burrow to appear so that he could hide in it. Is he really the same teacher who scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examination? If Zhang Xuan could be the last with such a level of knowledge, doesn't this mean that he isn't even qualified to get 0 marks? All right. In the future, read more books. The answers to the questions that you have posed are all recorded in them. Seeing their stunned expressions, Zhang Xuan lectures them with a deep tone. Then, he shakes his head and says, if there is nothing else, I'll be leaving. After saying those words, he lifts his legs to walk away. He is simply way too hungry. If he doesn't get food anytime soon, he might really faint from starvation. Zhang Xuan Laoshi, wait for me. Only now does Shen Bairu recover from her shock and she swiftly catches up with Zhang Xuan. What else do you want? Zhang Xuan says in a slightly annoyed tone. Is this woman sick or something? I had already clarified your queries for you. Are you done yet? Can't you see that I am hungry and would like to eat? I have yet to eat as well. Do you want to share a meal with me? Shen Bairu grits her teeth. She is the Aphrodite of the academy. Many men had asked her out for a meal, only to be rejected by her. She had not even accepted a single one of the innumerable meal dates from Shangbin. The shock that this young man generated in her today made her curious about him, thus she decided to ask him out so as to make use of the opportunity to see what is it that caused the changes in him. You want me to treat you? Zhang Xuan looks at her with a bizarre expression. What are you thinking of? If you want to eat, use your own money. How can one's skin be so thick? You had questions for me, so I answered them for you. You still expect me to treat you after that? How can you be so shameless? In his previous life, he had researched numerous action films, but even so, he is a true shut-in. He had never truly come in contact with the opposite gender before, so how could he understand the thoughts of a lady? Seeing the gaze of the young man and hearing his words, Shen Bairu almost shoots out a mouthful of blood and faints. I am a beautiful lady, all right? Beautiful ladies have special privileges. So many people had invited me out and I turned down every single one of them. Yet, when I ask you out, you look at me as though I am a monster. Shameless. Shameless your head. Is there anyone in the world who would term a beautiful lady as such? The lady is on the verge of going berserk. Fine, I'll treat you, okay? I'll treat you. Grinding her silver teeth together, Shen Bairu spits out these words. You treat me? Zhang Xuan pauses for a moment. Due to his previous self being the worst teacher in the academy, his income is nearly negligible. As such, it isn't a bad thing to have someone treat him. Thus, he nods his head, it's fine with me, but I want a luxurious meal. I won't eat just any ordinary mantis and fried pancakes. Mantu, but vertical bar basically, he means he won't just eat street food from vendors by the street. Shen Bairu goes berserk again. Mantu and fried pancakes? The heck with it. Let's go. She doesn't want to say anything anymore. She's afraid that if she continues talking to him, she would die from anger. The Library of Heaven's Path allows him to see through the flaws of all skills and everyone's Mingmen. However, it is unable to peer into the heart of a lady. Zhang Xuan is oblivious to the fact that he had made Hongshan Academy's #1 beauty furious to the point of vomiting blood with just a few simple words of his. Following behind Shen Bairu, Zhang Xuan walks along the pavement towards the entrance of the campus. Although the night scenery at Hongshan Academy isn't as radiant as the school in his previous life, it is still quite an exquisite sight under the illumination of the moon. Shrouded by spirit energy, the atmosphere seems exceptionally tranquil and peaceful. In his previous life, he was surrounded by hubble and smog could be found everywhere. It was very different from the serenity one could experience here. Zhang Xuan subconsciously immerses himself in this enchanting scenery. Walking in front, Shen Bairu thought that the young man following behind her would intentionally ask some questions to break the awkward silence. However, after the absence of sound for a long period of time, she couldn't resist turning around to take a look. Sneaking a glance, she is taken aback. The young man walks quietly as the moonlight illuminates his figure, the image of it reminiscent of a serene painting. This. Will of mine to Dan, heart of tranquil water. Her eyes narrow. Fighters don't just cultivate their chenki and physical body. What is even more crucial to them is their mind. The stronger one's mind is, the greater control they have over their cultivation. As a result, one's cultivation can surge even more swiftly, thus allowing them to reach greater heights in the future. That's precisely the reason why experts classify the will of mind into many different levels. Heart of tranquil water is the Tudan realm of it. The mind is harder to train than battle techniques. It is said that of the entire academy, only the principal has reached such a level. Even Shen Bairu, who is reputed to possess unparalleled talents and has reached Fighter 5 Dan pinnacle by the age of 20, second only to the renowned young genius Bai Wangai, is still a long way away from will of mind to Dan. Wangai, Prince, more is explained below. Initially, she thought that it would be too difficult for a second person to reach such a level, but never in her dreams would she dare to think that the trash teacher in the mouths of others would actually reach such heights. The new chapter is on novelin.com. If not for the fact that she witnessed it personally, she would never believe it. How is this possible? That is will of mind to Dan. It is a height harder to climb to than Fighter 6 Dan 7 Dan. Could it be that? He isn't a trash at all, but he intentionally scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examination so as to make use of the insults and derision of others to temper his will. Suddenly, a peculiar thought pops up in her mind. In the past, she didn't have much contact with Zhang Xuan and Laoshi, so she isn't really aware of his affairs. Today, through their conversation, she realized that he is not only knowledgeable, he even reached will of mind to Dan heart of tranquil water. That is a level many dream about, but never achieved in their lifetime. Looks like his teacher qualification examination results are all feigned. His true goal is to make use of the scorn of others to train his mind, so as to break into the will of mind to Dan. She finds it unbelievable that a person with such will of mind would be unable to achieve a pass in the simple teacher qualification examination. HMPH, continue putting on an act. See how I'll expose you. Thinking about how she was duped by this fellow, she grits her silver teeth tightly. This fellow is simply too hateful. She is resolute to look for a chance to expose him before others. Wangai is a title granted from the emperor to princes of the country. Chapter 32, Hongshan Pavilion. Heart of tranquil water. Very quickly, Zhang Xuan's consciousness returns from a mystical spiritual world and his eyes light up. Having read so many books, it is natural that he would understand the significance of the will of mind. I am a transcender. Having experienced life and death, it is natural that my will would be stronger than most. Furthermore, I cultivate in heaven's path divine art, so my Zhenki is as pure as clear water. It is normal to reach will of mine to dance so quickly. He is overjoyed over it, but it didn't come as a surprise. If he were to still be like the other ordinary folks when he possesses the godly tool named Library of Heaven's Path, he might as well buy a blob of tofu and commit suicide on it. Remaining silent the entire way, they soon arrive at the entrance of the academy. Hongshan Pavilion. Seeing the two enormous words before him, Zhang Xuan nods his head. There are recollections of this tavern in the memories of his previous self. Hongshan Pavilion is the most luxurious tavern in Hongshan Academy. Every single meal here would blow a hole in one's wallet. Due to his meager pay, his previous self had never been here before. Initially, he thought that Shen Bairu would just bring him to some casual restaurant. He never thought that she would be so generous to bring him here. As expected of a renowned tavern. The furnishings inside are majestic. Numerous night illumination pearls of the size of a fist are embedded within the walls of the tavern, making it seem as though it is still daytime. They sit down at a table beside the windows. What would you like? Shen Bairu gazes at the young man before her. Anything. Zhang Xuan gestures. Since you are the one treating, I will eat anything that you order. Never been here before, he doesn't know what dishes are good here. Since someone else is paying, he couldn't be bothered to think about it. Seeing the expression of the young man which seems resolute to take advantage of her wealth, Shen Bairu feels her rage welling up. However, as this isn't a good situation for her to flare up, she can only nod her head and casually order a few dishes. Zhang Laoshi, was the 0 in your teacher qualification examination intentional? After ordering, Shen Bairu stares at the young man before her fixedly. Intentional? Unsure of why the latter would ask such a question, Zhang Xuan pauses for a moment before replying, of course not. Back then, during the period of the teacher qualification examination, he had yet to transcend over, and his previous self didn't possess the Library of Heaven's Path either. Thus, it is impossible for the results to just be an act. Knowing that he would deny it, Shen Bairu laughs coldly in her mind. Denying it? See how I will expose your true colors. Since we are free now, I happen to have some questions that I have been unable to answer. Zhang Laoshi, would you mind helping me clarify my doubts? An idea flashes through Shen Bairu's mind and she asks. Go ahead. Since the other party is treating him to a meal, he should answer a question or two of hers in return. Alright, if one is unable to gather spirit energy in their meridians while cultivating, Shen Bairu ponders for a moment before asking a question. You don't know this as well. Hearing that the question is even simpler than the ones from before, Zhang Xuan stares at the other party in bewilderment before casually explaining, I have 9 methods here that can solve the problem. Soon, he finishes his explanation. 9 methods. Hearing how the young man casually throws out 9 methods at her, Shen Bairu's face warps. Despite being knowledgeable, she is only aware of 3 methods. Yet, the other party is able to list out 9 in a single breath. Furthermore, there is a few in the mix that are completely foreign to her. She finds the entire situation inconceivable. Then, what if one is unable to guide the flow of spirit energy into the meridians after absorbing it into one's body? Forcefully suppressing her astonishment, she asks once more. That is simple too, I have 8 ways of resolving that. Zhang Xuan starts to explain, firstly. Shen Bairu's slim body trembles. She had prepared herself mentally for this, but she still finds the situation insane. The methods he brought up are incredible. If these were to spread out, it would cause an uproar in the world of cultivation. Since you know so many methods, why weren't you able to list a single one of them out during the teacher qualification examination and instead, scored a 0? Forcibly suppressing her shock, Shen Bairu asks. The 2 questions that she just raised were the exact same questions listed in the previous teacher qualification examination. Since he is aware of so many solutions, why couldn't he fill them in? Not to mention, to end up with a 0? Only now does Zhang Xuan comes to a realization. So these questions were from the teacher qualification examinations. As it is part of the memories of his previous self, although he found the questions familiar, he wasn't able to pinpoint exactly where he saw them. Just as he is stumped for an answer, the dishes that were ordered previously are placed on the table one after another. Let's eat first. Looking at the appearance of the dishes and taking in their fragrance, Zhang Xuan's appetite is whetted up. Cannot be bothered with these troublesome matters, he starts to dig in. HMPH. Seeing how that fellow is more delighted to see those delicacies than her, Shen Bairu pouts. Countless people had invited her out for a meal, using all kinds of reasons and excuses just to stay with her a moment longer. Yet, this fellow is here just for the meal itself. Zhang Xuan, don't be angry anymore. I have applied for the Enlightenment trial and the academy will bring Liu Yang over for inspection tomorrow. Zhang Xuan would definitely be severely punished. As for that lunatic, Elder Zhang has already lent you his beloved pet. When you meet him tomorrow, you will surely be able to give him an unforgettable lesson, so you should be overjoyed instead. Let's go, I'll treat you to a grand meal to make up for the sufferings you underwent today. After which, we will find a few girls and... Xiaoye, young master. Two young men are walking along the pavement of the academy. The one leading in front has a swollen and bruised face with clear panda eyes. It is apparent to see that he had fought with someone and got hit on the face. The one following behind him has his body bent forward and is assuming a subservient attitude. The one who is speaking at the moment is the latter. There is a giant lion strutting proudly behind the two of them. Emanating a ferocious aura, it induces great pressure and fear in one before one could even approach it. They are Shang Bin, who created trouble in the classroom earlier in the morning, only to be beaten up by Yao Ha, and Cao Xiong, who is desperate to get Zhang Xuan into deep trouble. As for the lion behind them, it is Elder Zhang Qian's beloved pet, the Tier 6 savage beast sky-shattering lion. In this world, there are apothecary, blacksmith and many other occupations. Every single occupation is noble in its own right and well respected by the others. Of these occupations, Elder Zhang Qian is a beast tamer. This occupation allows one to tame savage beasts and spirit beasts and control them, turning them into a part of one's fighting prowess. It is a formidable occupation that is noteworthy compared to the rest. This sky-shattering lion is a beast pet that Elder Zhang Qian has trained. After being done in by the berserk Yao Ha, he is aware that he is unable to match up to him in terms of strength. Thus, he approached his grandfather to borrow a beast pet for his usage. Hearing those fawning words, Shang Bin nods his head as he spits with an aggressive expression that Yao Ha must be taught a good lesson. Zhang Xuan as well. Of course. With this sky-shattering lion, what does Zhang Xuan has to fear? Cao Xiong chuckles. A Tier 6 savage beast is equivalent to a Fighter 6 Dan expert, perhaps even surpassing them slightly. Even if that berserk butler Yao Ha isn't weak, it won't be an easy feat for him to defeat the sky-shattering lion even in his top form, needless to say, in his current state. Earlier in the day, he was wrapped up like a mummy, not any better than Zhang Xuan's current situation. Sky-shattering lion is my grandfather's beast pet. You are also aware of its wild nature, which makes it a difficult pet to tame. Grandfather may have handed him over to me, but it would only make a move when someone attacks me. Currently, I am still incapable of ordering it around. Looking at the ferocious and mighty sky-shattering lion behind him, Shang Bin feels a little helpless. 7-seat envelop in, C, for eldest whales. Savage beasts may be strong, but they are very proud life forms. Unless one is stronger than them or has the occupation of a beast tamer, it is impossible to make them listen to one's orders willingly. That may not be necessarily so. If we entertain it with good alcohol and food, it might just listen to your commands. Cao Xiong smiles. Let's hope that it'll be like that. In the midst of their strolling and chattering, a massive tavern soon appears before them. We are here. A magnificent signboard sits behind them as they walk into the tavern. Hongshan Pavilion. Chapter 33, Figning Generosity. Shang Gongzi, you are here. Come on in. Gongzi, gentleman, usually used to address for young males. Before the two men and one beast step into the tavern, a smiling middle-aged man welcomes them with a smile. The manager of Hongshan Pavilion, WCHOU. Give us a quiet location. Cao Xiong Laoshi and I want to have a good drink together. Shang Bin says. Over here. WCHOU quickly brings them to their seats. Shang Xiaoye, every time I am here, this WCHOU would behave smugly and disregard my presence. This time, why does he? Cao Xiong couldn't resist asking. Hongshan Pavilion may just be a tavern, but the powers backing it is not one to scoff at. Otherwise, it is impossible for them to be operating their business in the compounds of Hongshan Academy at such a scale. In the past, when he was here to eat, Manager W would always disregard him. Yet, this time, his back is bent forward and her attitude is of utmost respect. The disparity in his attitudes makes him doubt if he is in reality. You should have heard of that there was once an elder Hong Hao in the academy. Shang Bin says. Cao Xiong nods his head. Hongshan Academy is founded by Hongshan. After his death, his descendants sustained his heritage. As a result, the elders who have the surname of Hong tend to be of more esteemed standing in the academy. He has heard of this elder Hong Hao previously. He is an extremely powerful individual and has once vied for the principal seat. However, afterward, for some unknown reasons, he suddenly resigned from his position as an elder and there was no news on him anymore. After resigning as an elder, he started a tavern. He used to be best buddies with my grandfather, so Manager W would welcome me with respect whenever I'm here. Shang Bin declares gleefully. So that's the reason. Xiao Xiong nods his head. No wonder this Hongshan pavilion managed to grow to such a scale. It was opened by the previous elder Hong Hao. To be received by the manager of such a huge tavern, it is definitely something glorious. And just as he is in the midst of enjoying service he has never experienced before, Xiao Xiong suddenly freezes and his face gradually grows darker. What happened? Shang Bin gazes at him in puzzlement. That should be Zhang Xuan, right? How could he possibly have the qualifications to be dining here? Xiao Xiong points towards a table by the window. Zhang Xuan? Shang Bin glances over as well. Upon seeing the young man, he catches sight of the figure seated together with him. His eyebrows shoot upwards and rage surges from within. Why is she together with that trash? I had extended my invitation to her multiple times, but she kept rejecting me. To think that she would be dining with someone else. Damn it. Damn it. As the grandson of an elder, a high-level teacher of the academy and a fighter 5-dan Dingley realm expert, he has invited Shen Bairu for a meal multiple times, but she never agreed. Initially, he thought that she would never eat together with anyone. Never would he imagine that she would be sitting together with the renowned trash of the academy. He almost faints from anger on the spot. Slamming his table, he stands up, prepared to rush over to question her. However, he suddenly recalls Shen Bairu's temperament and immediately shrivels back to his seat. She holds intense loath to those who disturb her. If he were to rush over to interrogate her like this, if she ends up getting provoked by his attitude and rages out at him, there would be no hope for his courtship. Shang Shaoye, don't be angry. I have an idea that would reveal the true colors of Zhang Xuan before Shen Laoshi. Furthermore, it can accentuate the majestic aura of Shang Shaoye. Xiao Xiong is a social expert, allowing him to see through the current situation in an instant. An idea flashed through his mind and he smiles as he tries to coax Shang Bin into action. What idea? This Zhang Xuan is definitely here to fawn on Shen Laoshi by treating her to a meal. However, as a low-level teacher, how much money could he possibly earn? We only have to interfere slightly to make the final bill out of his reach to shame him before her. Afterward, Shang Shaoye would appear and rescue her from the awkward situation. Shen Laoshi's impression of Shang Shaoye would definitely improve. Perhaps, the flower of love might even bloom as she runs into your embrace. Xiao Xiong reveals his plan. Good, let's do it your way then. Shang Bin's eyes light up as he nods his head in satisfaction. Ria Latson CHTers on NVL, B, I, dot. CM. Not only is he able to cripple his opponent, he is also able to elevate his position in Shen Bairu's heart at the same time. This is truly a brilliant idea. Looks like this Xiao Xiong isn't simply capable at teaching, he also has a way with dealing with humans. Looks like he should be properly groomed in the future. Zhang Xuan doesn't know of the scheme that is being plotted against him. Eating the delicacies on the table, he nods his head in commendation. The cooking techniques here may not be as refined as the ones on Earth, but this world is rich in spirit energy, not to mention that the ingredients used in the dishes are fresh and delicious, thus providing a wholly different enjoyable eating experience. Soon, most of the dishes on the table has been cleaned up and a large portion of them was wiped clean by Zhang Xuan. Shen Bairu only nibbled on a small bit of them symbolically. Seeing how this fellow is only obsessed with eating, disregarding even her presence, Shen Bairu curls her lips in anger. Initially, she thought that he was fingering it to attract her attention. Only now does she realize that he had never thought of her as an important matter. Regardless of whether it is the genius teachers or star teachers of the academy, they would intentionally fawn on her and offer her favors. Yet, this fellow, the worst-ranking teacher of the entire academy, treats her as though she is nothing, making her grind her silver teeth in anger. If it wasn't for her etiquette, she would have already sent both of her legs flying towards his body. The more she thinks about it, the more furious she gets. She knows that if she were to see him continue eating, she would die of anger. She turns around and calls out to the waiter, "Bill." A total of 1280 gold coins. A waiter walks over. 1280. Shen Bairu freezes in shock. Why is it so expensive? Even for a high-level teacher like her, she only earns 1000 gold coin every month. Yet, to eat away a month of salary in a single meal? How could it be so expensive? She had calculated it properly while she was ordering the dishes, and the bill isn't supposed to even reach 100. How could it jump up to more than 1,000 in an instant? I'm sorry, but this bottle of wine here costs 1,200 gold coins by itself. The waiter explains. Previously, when the both of them were eating, a waiter came forth to ask if they wanted some wine. Shen Bairu thought that it would be fine to have some alcohol, so she nodded her head in agreement. How could she have possibly imagined that the wine would be that expensive? We were uninformed of the price of the wine you sent over. Shen Bairu's face looks extremely pale at this instant. No matter how foolish she could be, it is obvious that she had been had. If you are truly uninterested in it, you should have asked further about it beforehand. Since you didn't ask, we thought that you would be aware of its price, so we didn't say anything excessive. The waiter looks at her coldly. HMPH. Seeing the attitude of the waiter, Shen Bairu knows that there's no point in kicking up a fuss. Instead, it might be bad for her reputation if she were to kick up a fuss on this matter. Thus, she whips out her wallet and prepares to pay. Then, her face suddenly turns white and awkwardness exudes from her. I don't have sufficient money on me now. Why don't you keep it on my tab first? I will repay you after retrieving sufficient money. Today, she only intended to accomplish some reading at the Compendium Pavilion, so she didn't bring much money. After which, she met Zhang Xuan and consulted him on some matters. Due to the excessive shock then, she totally forgot about the matter, recalling it only at this moment. She only has around 100 gold coins on her, far from the required 1,000 plus. Treating someone to a meal yet not having sufficient money to foot the tab. She feels a fiery sting on her face as she fervently wishes for a burrow to appear so that she could hide inside it. Don't order food that you can't afford. Since you've ordered it, pay up. Don't even dream about eating for free here. The waiter harumphes. You. Shen Bairu's small face flushes in anger. What happened? At this moment, a stern voice sounds out. Shangbin, accompanied by Cao Xiong and the sky-shattering lion, walks over proudly with widen strides. Dressed in white, his hands are behind him and his head is tilted high, his posture exuding an aura of superiority. In normal times, with his disposition and outer appearance, accompanied with the ferocious sky-shattering lion following behind him, he would have looked like an elegant and dashing gentleman. However, at this very moment, his face is swollen red and his eyes are bruised black. Looking from afar, he looks indescribably ridiculous. However, he seems oblivious to it and instead, struts about proudly. With a deep look in his eyes and a distanced aura, he walks forward and his eyes happen to chance upon Shen Bairu's body. Feigning shock, he says, Shen Laoshi, what a coincidence. You are here as well. He turns around to look at the waiter and asks, what happened here? It is unbecoming to be making a ruckus here. Ah, so it is Zhang Xuan. The waiter leaps in fear. He no longer puts on the pushy attitude from before and instead reveals a careful demeanor as he explains, it's like this, they had eaten but they do not have the money to foot the bill. No money to foot the bill? Shangbin shakes his head as a disappointed expression appears on his face. He gazes at Zhang Xuan and says, Zhang Laoshi, it is not that I want to lecture you, but if you do not have the money, don't try to feign generosity and treat someone to a meal here. Look, you simply ended up embarrassing yourself. As the worst teacher in the academy, you might be used to it, but to bring shame to Shen Laoshi as well, don't you think you have gone a bit too far? Seeing the arrogant look on the face of the fellow before him, Zhang Xuan pauses for a moment before turning around to look at Shen Bairu. Sigh, he seems to be talking about you. If you don't have sufficient money, don't feign generosity. Look, you simply ended up embarrassing yourself. You. Upon hearing Shangbin's words, Shen Bairu was already infuriated. Yet, to hear Zhang Xuan repeating the same words again, she almost exploded from all of the accumulated fury. She lifts her head and glares at the gleeful Shangbin, who is trying to put on an impressive image to win her favor. You Luo, she grinds her jade teeth together and roars, Shangbin, I dare you to say once more who the one feigning generosity is. Chapter 34, Scam. Oh. Not expecting that the lady would be angered, Shangbin is astonished. He immediately explains, Shen Laoshi, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about Zhang Xuan. If he doesn't have the money, he shouldn't be going around treating others. Look, he ended up getting stopped by the waiter, how embarrassing is that? He is sullying the prestige of our academy. The more he spoke, the darker his goddess's face turns, to the point that it seems as though she will erupt at any moment now. Shangbin is bewildered by the twist in the situation. At this moment, the waiter interrupts awkwardly, Zhang Xuan. What? Shangbin glances at him with a frown. Cough cough, the one that is treating is Shen Laoshi. The waiter says. He received the order to cooperate with Shangbin's show. Yet, he would have never expected that it would be the lady that foots the tab. Before he could report it to him, Zhang Bin had already rushed over, making it even more difficult to explain the situation to him. Shen Laoshi is the one treating. Zhang Bin is horrified. His eyes widens in disbelief. Are you for real? He had been asking the goddess out to eat every day and yet she simply dismisses his invitations. What rights does the worst teacher of the academy have to be sharing a meal with her, not to mention, having her to treat him? Why? Just because I have no money to foot the tab means I'm feigning generosity and embarrassing myself, is it? Shen Bairu glares at him coldly. She had been embarrassed in front of Zhang Xuan multiple times today and she had been dispirited over it all this while. Yet, this fellow just had to mock her at such a moment. She feels her rage on the verge of flying out of control. No, that's not it. Zhang Bin's face pales and he looks as though he is about to cry. Only now does he understand that he had accidentally insulted his goddess in the midst of trying to fawn on her. He immediately waves his hands as though to dispel the misunderstanding. I didn't mean that, I mean to. Stuttering, he is unsure of how he should explain it. However, as expected of a teacher of the academy and the grandson of an elder. Having experienced and seen many things, he quickly recovers and turns to look at the waiter. Gesturing majestically, he declares, all right, Shen Laoshi's debt is my debt. How much does it cost? I will pay for her. Shang Shaoe, you are an esteemed guest of our Hongshan pavilion, how can we accept your money? The waiter nods his head in a panic. These are the lines they had prepared beforehand so as to flaunt his background and ability before his goddess. That is great. Zhang Bin wanted to tug on the subject a while longer to showcase his superiority when Shen Bairu's cold voice sounds out once more. It's okay, I will pay for my expenses so that others won't claim that I am feigning generosity. At this moment, she retrieves a hairpin from her head and passes it over. This jade hairpin is worth at least 5,000 gold coins. You can verify it with a specialist. I will be leaving it in your care first. After I retrieve my money, I will be back to redeem it. This. Holding the jade hairpin, the waiter is unsure of what he should do. This isn't part of the script they agreed on. Shen Laoshi, you don't have to do this. I am acquainted with Manager W of Hongshan Pavilion, so as long as I speak up, that debt of yours don't mean anything at all. Zhang Bin hurriedly steps forward. A latest novel is on, will be, co. That's your problem, what does it have to do with me? Shen Bairu interrupts his words. Then, she turns to look at the waiter again and says, I will be leaving first if you aren't going to be looking for a specialist to verify it. The waiter looks at Zhang Bin in a panic and the plea in his gaze is clear to see. What are you looking at me for? Zhang Bin waves his hand quickly. With a furious gaze, he continues, I don't know you at all. All right. Zhang Xuan didn't expect that a single meal would end in such a farce. Shaking his head, he steps forward, retrieves the jade hairpin from the waiter and passes it back to Shen Bairu. Why are giving this to him? This meal isn't even worth 1280 gold coins. Giving him money like this, are you that anxious to be scammed? Scammed? Hongshan Pavilion has nearly 10 years behind its establishment. Our prices are fair and we do not discriminate between our customers. There has never been a single person who had such an issue with us before, so what do you mean by those words? The moment Zhang Xuan words land, a middle-aged man walks over with large strides. It is the manager of Hongshan Pavilion, WCHOU. He had talked it through with Zhang Bin and he wasn't supposed to appear initially. However, upon hearing Zhang Xuan talking about a scam, he couldn't hold it in anymore. The events occurring here has attracted the attention of many customers. If he doesn't show up and allow the other party to speak as his pleases instead, the reputation of the tavern would be sullied. If that happens, his boss, Elder Hong Hao, would kill him when he returns. What do I mean? Do I really have to voice it out? Zhang Xuan's eyelids lift up slightly and a lazy atmosphere emanates from him. HMPH, we use the finest ingredients for every single dish of our Hongshan Pavilion so that they are served fresh and delicious. Our prices have also undergone the stringent checks of the academy. If you are unable to explain yourself, regardless of the fact of whether you are a teacher of the academy or not, you don't have to dream about leaving here today. Manager WU's face darkens. To a tavern, scamming one's customers is a very heavy sin to bear. If he doesn't settle it now, Hongshan Pavilion could possibly go out of operation when such a reputation spreads. He is truly courting death. He is truly courting death. Initially, he thought that Zhang Xuan would get away scot-free once again. However, seeing Zhang Xuan accuse Hongshan Pavilion of scamming its customer and offending Manager W, a glint flashes across Zhang Bin's eyes as he watches the situation gleefully. Manager W may seem like an amiable person with a good temper, but when the reputation of Hongshan Pavilion is on the line, he would be like a ragging bull who doesn't know the meaning of retreat. Looks like the fellow who is the first from the last in the academy is in for a ride of misfortune. What is this fellow rambling about? Panic can be seen on Shen Bairu's face. For Hongshan Pavilion to be opened in Hongshan Academy at such a tremendous scale, its backing is clear to see at a single glance. Yet, you dare to accuse them of scamming their customers in public, aren't you asking for trouble? A large tavern like this values its reputation a lot. Since you requested for me to say it, then I will spare with the formalities. Despite the WUCHOU's threat, Zhang Xuan is unfazed. He walks up to the table and says, "This violet savage bear meat, going by your claims, is prepared by slaughtering a savage bear before soaking it in violet flowers for 3 days. This way, the exterior will be crispy while the interiors will be tender and the meat will be filled with fragrance. However, you all took it out for frying right after soaking it for just a day. Although the texture is still the same, the medical properties of the violet flower has yet to soak in, making it would be useless no matter how many of it one eats. As for this Honggu mandarin fish, you all advertised it as wild mandarin fishes caught in Lake Hong. However, they are actually mandarin fishes that you all have been rearing in Yeluo Bay. It is easy to differentiate between the two. As wild mandarin fishes have to battle against their natural predators, king turtle, the fin of the tail of Honggu mandarin fishes tend to be tougher than those that are reared, and its tail would be significantly thicker as well. One only has to slightly look into the matter to know whether what I'm saying is true. As for this clear sorted nestled heart herb, the ingredients used isn't even nestled heart herb but bitter heart herb. These two plants are actually one of a kind, just that they are cultivated under different conditions, thus the difference in their names. Nestled heart grass grows beside the nests of savage beasts and is taken care by them. Their stems would tend to be thicker and their nutrition value is significantly higher as well. Bitter heart herb grows in the wilderness and is extremely cheap. Its stem is thin and its nutrition value is lower by a huge chunk. For the same plate of vegetable, the difference in their value is almost tenfold. Completely different in comparison. Listing it as nestled heart herb but cooking the dish using bitter heart herb, if this isn't a scam, what else could it be? Casually pointing to any dish, he is able to clearly point out the origin and flaws in it. Upon hearing those words, Manager Wu's earlier aggression fades as his face pales. As the manager of Hongshan Pavilion, he isn't just involved in attending to the customers, he is also in charge of the affairs in the kitchen. Naturally, he is aware of the authenticity of the Zhang Xuan's words. Not only is he not speaking nonsense, his words are completely true. The boss isn't aware of these things. For his own profit, WUCHOU discreetly got someone to switch them. Not even professional gourmets could tell the differences between Honggu mandarin fish, nestled heart herb and their imitation, thus proving that the substitutes for these two are identical. How could this young man tell? Furthermore, for him to be completely spot on. Damn it. We specially came here from afar to try the authentic nestled heart herb, to think that it would be an imitation. Me too. I've heard that the Honggu mandarin fish is delicious, authentic and fragrant, thus I specially made the journey here. How dare you all try to fool us? Refund. To think that the #1 tavern of Hongshan Academy would resort to using imitations, not to mention that I am a regular customer. I would have never imagined that it was all a scam. Zhang Xuan's words are unhurried and rational with sufficient evidence to back up his claims. The crowd who was watching the show immediately bursts into an uproar. Hongshan Pavilion could be considered a reputable tavern, even in the entire Tiangshuan kingdom. Many of its specialties has attracted innumerable experts to make the journey. They would have never imagined that these were all fake. Chapter 35, What is happening? You. Nonsense. Seeing the crowd breaking out into a commotion, cold sweat drips down from Manager Wu's forehead. He grits his teeth and billows. He must not admit to it now. The moment he does, Hongshan Pavilion's reputation will be ruined, and his future will be gone with it as well. If only he knew that this teacher is a gourmet, he would have never agreed to Shang Bin's request even if he was beaten to death. You are claiming that what I said was nonsense. Zhang Xuan glances at him. Indeed. You said that these dishes are imitations, but you don't have evidence to back up your claim. Without evidence, your words are nonsense. Do you think that I wouldn't dare to have you arrested for the crime of slander? Manager W says ferociously. Evidence? You want evidence? Fine. Seeing how this fellow is adamant to push on, Zhang Xuan shakes his head. Initially, he didn't want to pursue the matter any further. After all, Shen Bairu is the one treating, so it doesn't matter to him how much the dishes cost. However, who knew that this fellow would stubbornly claim that he was slandering them? Since that is the case, Zhang Xuan is resolute to prevent him from getting away scot-free. I have already provided the evidence of the few dishes before. Everyone can inspect their food carefully based on the unique traits that I have just brought up. Of course, it's okay if he is reluctant to acknowledge it. After all, even if you all know all these, some gourmets will still find it difficult to distinguish between them, needless to say, the rest of you. However, Zhang Xuan surveys the surroundings before casually lifting up the most expensive bottle of wine on the table up and declares, everyone would be able to easily discern the authenticity of this bottle of wine. Discern its authenticity? Drunk Immortal is the specialty of Hongshan Pavilion. This is a fact known by everyone. Many people specially made the trip here just for the wine. Are you trying to say that the wine is fake as well? A customer can't resist asking. Indeed, Drunk Immortal is the trademark of Hongshan Pavilion, so surely it can't be faked? If this turns out to be an imitation as well, I doubt that there can be anything real in here. Another customer speaks up. The wine that was offered to Zhang Xuan's table previously is called Drunk Immortal and its sale is exclusive to Hongshan Pavilion. The wine is rich, delicious and has an exquisite fragrance. This wine played a crucial role to the current reputation and scale of Hongshan Pavilion. If even this wine turns out to be an imitation, that would be going way overboard. I've already said that it would be easy to discern it. As though he had expected the crowd to doubt his words, Zhang Xuan simply responds with a faint smile and raises the bottle. The words, Drunk Immortal, are written on the cover of the bottle. If this is truly the Drunk Immortal from 100 Well Brewery, it would indeed be worth 1200 gold coins. But it is a pity that the bottle is filled with Green Crag Brew from Purple Bamboo Gazebo. These two wines are similar in terms of their scent and their texture. However, the former is brewed using the valuable and rare-rooted earth grass and green cicada heart leaf and it nourishes the body when drunk. On the other hand, if one drinks too much of the Green Crag Brew, the venom from the fallen floral grass would attack one's heart and lungs. Over time, the function of one's organs will deteriorate, causing one's cultivation to fall rapidly, thus ending their lives tragically. Using Green Crag Brew to imitate Fallen Immortal? I've heard of Green Crag Brew. If I remember correctly, its taste is similar with Fallen Immortal. I've always trusted in the quality of the goods of Hongshan Pavilion. I would have never imagined that they would fool their customers like that. This is a fraud. I will be reporting this to the academy so that an investigation will be conducted. The customers who were watching the commotion, upon hearing that they have been scammed, cry out indignantly. Just because you said that it is Green Crag Brew, doesn't mean that it would necessarily be it. Where's your evidence? Manager W squeezes out these words between his gritted teeth. Glancing at him, Zhang Xuan replies calmly, wine can be ignited with fire. I haven't touched much of the alcohol in it so you can ignite this one. The true Fallen Immortal should exude an alluring fragrance, similar to lilies and musk. On the other hand, for Green Crag Brew, a charred odor would be released. All those who have noses should be able to discern between the two easily. You. Manager W's body goes stiff. The other party's words are completely accurate. However, this method of distinguishing between the two isn't very well known. Only the makers of Green Crag Brew and their vendors are aware of it. Even WCHOU himself only heard of it coincidentally. How could this fellow know of this method as well? Actually, the wine given to other customers are all true Fallen Immortal. After all, this is the trademark specialty of the tavern. After hearing Shang Bin's plan, he intentionally passed this fake wine over to the young man, thinking that he would be unable to discern between the two so that he would be able to make an earning out of this. In the end, not only is the other party aware of it, he is even able to state the method to distinguish between the two clearly. If Zhang Xuan were to prove himself right, it would be difficult to explain to everyone that what they're drinking is the authentic Fallen Immortal. Why? You don't dare to give it a try. Seeing the look of panic on the other person's face, Zhang Xuan smiles faintly. He casually turns the wine bottle over, allowing the wine to spill onto the floor. Then, he takes out an ignitable paper roll and snaps his fingers. Top VL updates on NOVPoundin.com. XIONG. When the wine on the floor comes into contact with the flames, it lights up and instantaneously, a stinging odor assaults the noses of the crowd, leaving them faint-headed. How pungent. This was what we were drinking. Hongshan Pavilion really doesn't respect their customers. For it to be so pungent, it must be poisonous. Refund. I've been drinking your wine here for 3 years. Not only do I want you to return it all back to me, I want additional compensation as well. The entire tavern explodes into an uproar. Everyone rushes forward. What? What is happening? Xiao Xiong and Shang Bin feels like they are going mad by the sudden turn of events. They had specially set up this ploy to humiliate Zhang Xuan. In the end, not only was he not humiliated, he even managed to stand out instead. Instead, they were shamed like clowns. What is happening? What is happening your head? By the side, Manager W had just barely kept his emotions in check, but upon hearing those words, he loses control and kicks them both. Peng! Peng! He is a fighter 6 Dan Pixu realm expert. Before the two of them could even react, the side before them goes dark and they crash onto the ground. A giant footprint is left on each of their faces. It is no wonder that Manager W would go berserk. If it weren't for these two fellows, such an incident would not have occurred. He can already foresee that not only will his career come to an end, he would also have to face the rage of Elder Hong Hao. After this incident, Hongshan Pavilion's reputation would definitely go into the gutters and their business would no longer be as prosperous as before. The cause of this entire incident is him accepting the request of these two fellows to teach the lad, who is last in the teacher qualification examination, a lesson. How can it be possible for this lad to be the last? Even the first in the examinations can't possibly be so incredible. If only he knew in advance that this master had such powerful eyes of discernment. Not only would he have not caused Zhang Xuan any trouble, he would have been praying for him to not cause him any. Damn it. Looks like there isn't anyone free to collect money from us right now, let's go. Seeing how the situation has descended into chaos, Zhang Xuan signals to Shen Bairu, who is still in a state of daze, and walks out of the tavern. Now that the problem has been settled, staying here would just result in more troubles. Thus, it would wiser for them to simply leave. Shen Bairu hurriedly catches up to him. Seeing the young man in front her eyes are filled with complex emotions. All along, she thought that he is a trash, an ignorant fellow who is the shame of the teaching community. After half a day of interaction, she realized that, if he is a trash, then what is she? Doesn't it mean that she is nothing at all? Gritting her teeth, she walks up. With disbelief still reflecting within her beautiful pitch-black eyes, she asks, "You seem to be quite knowledgeable about food. Could it be that you're a gourmet?" Chapter 36, Gourmet. There are many occupations in this world and gourmet is one of them. Gourmets are often born sensitive to taste, and their ability to discern flavors far exceeds ordinary humans. Their cultivation may not necessarily be high, but there are some hotels or taverns that would hire them at high salaries so as to ascertain the taste and effects of their ingredients. However, this occupation is one of the least esteemed ones and can only be considered one of the lower 9 paths. There are more than several thousands of occupations in the world. To better classify them, they are split into the upper 9 paths, middle 9 paths and lower 9 paths. Apothecary, blacksmith, formation master and similar jobs which brings about benefits to battle techniques and one's cultivation are considered as the conventional upper 9 paths. On the other hand, gourmet could only be considered as an unorthodox occupation, thus being classified under the lower 9 paths. Going by Shen Bairu's opinion, given how the young man is capable of pointing out the flaws in those dishes and wine, he had to be a gourmet. You can take it so. Zhang Xuan doesn't explain. The Library of Heaven's path does more than reflecting one's cultivation. As long as he has tried a dish, its flaws would be reflected in the library. With this, it is a simple task for him to take care of a small manager W. Thank you for your help today. Seeing the other party admit to it, Shen Bairu thanks him. If it wasn't for this young man's ability to discern delicacies, it would be truly embarrassing for her today. It's nothing. Zhang Xuan waves his hand. You resolved the problem just a moment ago, so it can't be considered as my treat. I'll treat you again next time. Shen Bairu says. Treat me again? Zhang Xuan ponders over it and shakes his head. Better not, I still treasure my life. Eating with a beauty may be an enjoyable event, but he knows himself the best. Given his reputation, the other party might simply be speaking out of politeness despite being repulsed by the idea. Not only so, he would have to suffer from the envy of others. If so, he would have to come up with ideas to deal with her pursuers. However, there are still many things that he needs to do at the moment and he doesn't have the leisure for such matters. You. Just when she thought that Zhang Xuan could speak normally, she hears those words and feels a blockade in her chest again as the urge to go berserk surges through her. Many people had asked her out to eat, but she rejected them all. Yet, when she takes the initiative to invite him, she feels as though she is begging a stubborn elderly. Detestable. Alright, since we have already eaten, if there's nothing else, I'll be making a move first. I still have many things to attend to. Oblivious to her rage, he waves and prepares to take his leave. Wait, I'm not done yet. Suppressing her anger, Shen Bairu calms down her breathing and looks at him with her beautiful eyes. You might have resolved that difficulty in my stead today and your occupation as a gourmet played a huge role in it, but In the end, it is still an unorthodox occupation. After all, a fighter should focus on his training. Fighters, upon cultivating to a certain realm, are able to survive without ingesting food, so delicacies do not have much use. Even if he is able to profit out of the occupation for now, it still isn't a proper path a fighter should be treading on. After interacting with him, she could tell that Zhang Xuan isn't as useless as the rumors make him out to be. It could be possible that he had devoted his efforts to studying food, that's why his teacher qualification examination results ended up horrendous. Upon such thoughts, despite her overwhelming anger, she couldn't resist advising him. All right. Knowing that she said those words out of goodwill, Zhang Xuan nods his head. Just as he is about to leave, rapid footsteps sound out from his back. Zhang Xuan, let's see where you can escape to today. Today, don't even dream about getting away. Following which, a resentful voice echoes in the surroundings. 2 men and 1 beast block his path. They are Shang Bin and Cao Xiong. At this moment, the 2 of them have a giant footprint imprinted on their face, the outlines of it clear to see. Half of their face are swollen red and blood trickles down by edges of their mouth. Not a single hint of their previous dashing and carefree look remain. This is especially so for Shang Bin. His injuries from the morning have yet to recover and yet, he suffered another violent kick. At this instant, his mouth is crooked to the side and his lips look like 2 giant sausages, thus pulling him further away from the concept of handsomeness. He had planned everything out perfectly so as to look cool in front of his goddess. Who knew that not only would he fail, he even got beaten up to such a state and his connection with Hongshan Pavilion was severed as a result. If things go wrong, he might even be chastised by his grandfather. How could he take this humiliation lying? The more he thinks about it, the angrier he gets. Thus, he charges up directly towards Zhang Xuan. Shang Bin, what do you intend to do? Shen Bairu didn't expect him to come in pursuit to cause trouble. She steps in front of Zhang Xuan to shield him from Shang Bin. Shen Laoshi, don't block my way. This is a personal grudge between Zhang Xuan and me. It is one thing if he doesn't see her, but when he sees her shielding the infamous trash of the academy, Shang Bin is further provoked as his eyes slant to the sides and his mouth crooks further from the overwhelming rage. The intense envy clouding his mind makes him frenzied. He stares coldly at that young man and shouts, Zhang Xuan, are you a man? If you are one, stop hiding behind a woman and have a fair duel to the death with me. Seeing how the fellow before him has lost his rationality, Zhang Xuan widens his eyes and says, so what if I'm hiding behind a woman? This is a part of my capabilities. If you are capable, find one to hide behind as well. You. Shang Bin almost vomits blood. As long as it is a man, if someone insults him by saying that he is gutless and hides behind the protection of a woman, won't they feel embarrassed and humiliated such that they would rush forward to retaliate out of indignation? Why does common sense not apply to this fellow? 40W current novels on NO, V, 3LB, in, .com. How can he speak of something that should have been incomparably shameful so naturally and righteously? Asterisk. How can one be so thick-skinned? Shen Laoshi, I'll be leaving these 2 for you to deal with. I still have something on, so I'll be taking my leave first. As a transcender, what has he never seen before? Thick-skinned? What a joke. In his previous life, in the information era. Have you seen anyone who isn't shameless? He can't be bothered to deal with a problem which someone had taken the initiative to resolve for him. This isn't fair. Rather, it isn't a good time for him to be revealing his level of cultivation. On top of that, the Shang Bin's grandfather is an elder. If he were to be forced to a corner, Zhang Xuan would have to waste precious time dealing with the problems that will ensue. Since someone is shielding him, he is also happy to be spared the effort. Seeing how shameless the young man is, Shen Bairu is also at a loss for words. Just a moment ago, she was still fearful that he would be provoked by Shang Bin's taunt and duel with him. Now, it does seem that she was overthinking it. If this fellow could be provoked, even sows would be able to climb trees. Zhang Xuan, hold it there. If I can't kill you today, I won't be called Shang Bin. Seeing the attitude of the young man, Shang Bin becomes even more enraged. Veins pop out from his temples and his face turns a shade of green. Seeing that Shen Bairu has no intention of letting him through, he roars, sky-shattering lion, kill him. As long as you do it, I will bring you delicacies every day. Furthermore, I will give you the acupoint soothing pill that my grandfather promised me. As a tier 6 savage beast that has been tamed by a human, the sky-shattering lion is capable of comprehending human words. As his grandfather's pet, as long as Shang Bin is kept out of harm's way, it couldn't be bothered with his orders. In order to get it to make a move, he promised all kinds of benefits to him in an instant. Roar! Indeed, hearing his promises, the eyes of the sky-shattering lion light up. Savage beasts who have reached Pixu realm, unlike humans, are unable to use the flow of Qianqi to break open their acupoints. They can only rely on the growth of their body to gradually pull up their strength. If it were to consume the acupoint soothing pill at this moment, with its effects, its strength would surely soar significantly. Acupoint soothing pill is a pill made specially for Fighter 6 Dan experts. It possesses the effect of soothing one's acupoints, thus allowing one to progress further in Pixu realm. At this moment, Shang Bin's strength has already reached Fighter 5 Dan Dingali Pinnacle, just a step off from Pixu. Thus, Elder Shang Qian spent a huge sum to obtain this medicine so as to give him a boost. Initially, Shang Bin was reluctant to take it out. However, upon recalling how he was humiliated by a trash, he finds himself unable to suppress his emotions. If he doesn't get rid of Zhang Xuan today, he fears that he would be unable to uphold his dignity in the academy anymore. This is especially so for the goddess before him, she probably wouldn't even spare him a gaze. How can he tolerate such a situation? Shang Bin, what do you intend to do? Killing a colleague in academy compounds is a huge crime. She didn't expect Shang Bin to be so insane to order the sky-shattering lion to make a move. Shen Bairu's eyes narrow. She wants to rush forward to protect Zhang Xuan, but is blocked by Shang Bin instead. Panicking, she bellows at him. In the compounds, teachers are forbidden from killing one another. To do so is an infringement of the school rules, as well as a severe crime. Zhang Xuan was the one who wanted to kill me. To protect me, the sky-shattering lion retaliated. What I did was legitimate self-defense, what can the others say about it? Shang Bin's eyes turn red from insanity. He roars, sky-shattering lion, what are you hesitating for? Do it. You. Shen Bairu feels her heart turning cold. Too shameless. If he were to really use that as a front, with Elder Shang Qian's interference within the matter, he might really get away with it. In fact, it is possible for him to escape punishment completely. Zhang Xuan could very well die here. After all, it is a tier 6 savage beast. Ordinary Pixu realm experts aren't even its match. How can one who is the last in the teacher qualification examination withstand it? Roar! Just when she is still in a fluster, the sky-shattering lion roars and dashes over. Before coming into contact with it, its powerful aura creates a powerful gale that forces the surrounding grass and tree leaves to bow down to it. 9 paths, also known as 3 teachings and 9 paths. This is a real terminology used to classify jobs in ancient China. To put it simply, there are upper 9 paths, middle 9 paths and lower 9 paths in ancient China, and each of these paths refer to an occupation. For example, the top occupations in ancient China, the 9 occupations listed in the upper 9 paths, are Emperor, Saints, Secluded Masters, Oracle, Scholar, Warrior, Farmer, Worker, Merchant, and they are classified from vertical bar most esteemed, least esteemed vertical bar. Similarly, the middle 9 paths and lower 9 paths have their own set of occupations as well. The 3 teachings refer to Confucianism, Taoism or Taoism, and Buddhism. Do note that there are different interpretations versions to the 9 paths and most of them list Buddha as the first one. Chapter 37, Big Sister Spare Me. Zhang Xuan. Shen Bairu tried to break through Shang Bin's blockade to save him, but she was knocked back consecutive times. Shang Bin's cultivation is on the same level as her. He might be spoiled due to his powerful backing, but his strength isn't false. Even if she possesses the strength to defeat him, she is still unable to break through his blockade within a short period of time, especially if he chooses to execute only defensive maneuvers. I am the one who brought harm to you. Seeing how she is unable to save him, Shen Bairu is filled with guilt. She thinks that the reason why Shang Bin is dealing with this fellow, who was the last for the teacher qualification examination, is because of her. Otherwise, as someone of such high standing and the grandson of an elder, towards an infamous trash who has no background whatsoever, when there's no connection between the two, why would there be a grudge between them? Yet, after pulling him down into the mud, she is unable to save him. The guilt she is experiencing at the moment torments her painfully. Why is there no movements? Could it be that Zhang Xuan has already died? The more panicked she gets, the more incapable she is of breaking through Shang Bin's blockade. With Shang Bin blocking her side, she is unable to view the situation over at Zhang Xuan's side. She can only hear complete silence in the surroundings, as though he didn't even struggle against the assault of the sky-shattering lion. There can only be one possibility. Before Zhang Xuan could retaliate, he was already smacked to death by the sky-shattering lion. After all, even she is unable to withstand a single blow from the tier 6 savage beast, who is equivalent to a Pixu realm expert. Haha, he is already dead. It is too late for you to make a move now. Hearing that there is no movements behind him, Shang Bin's eyes light up. He knows that the trash would definitely be unable to withstand a single blow from the sky-shattering lion. He laughs heartily out of excitement. Judging that there is no need to block Shen Bairu any longer, he leaps aside. Zhang Xuan. The moment Sheng Bin leaps away, Shen Bairu doesn't waste time on him and hurriedly rushes forward. Just when she thought she would see a pool of fresh blood with a miserable corpse lying in the center of it, her slim figure suddenly freezes and she stares in a daze. This. What happened? Initially, Sheng Bin thought that his goddess would burst into tears from the shock of the sight. However, upon seeing such an expression hang on her face, Sheng Bin quickly turns around to take a look. With a single glimpse, his eyeballs widen into huge circles and he almost faints from overwhelming astonishment. Read the latest stories in novelbian.com. He sees the incomparably ferocious sky-shattering lion, which had rushed towards Zhang Xuan earlier to rip him into numerous shreds before, lying in front of Zhang Xuan like a pug, licking his hands. Zhang Xuan's other hand is stroking the head and ears of the sky-shattering lion and unspeakable pleasure appears on its face. The heck? What happened? Sheng Bin is on the verge of tears. This sky-shattering lion is his grandfather's beast pet and it is extremely proud. Even for Sheng Bin himself, just a simple touch would incur its fury, not to mention stroking its head. After taking possession of it from his grandfather, he had spent half a day of effort on it, feeding it numerous delicacies. Yet, this fellow doesn't even show the slightest bit of gratitude, disregarding his presence as he pleases. Such a proud fellow became a pug before Zhang Xuan? You are here to kill him. To be lying before him and licking his palm, is this really alright? Sheng Bin feels a dizziness spell working up, and he is on the verge of going crazy. Sky-shattering lion, what are you doing? Quickly kill him. He bellows. The sky-shattering lion doesn't move. It continues to lazy around, allowing Zhang Xuan stroke his head freely. You. Quickly kill him. If you do it, I will buy you anything you want to eat from now on. Sheng Bin roars anxiously. So noisy, make him shut up. Zhang Xuan, who was stroking the sky-shattering lion, stands up and waves his hand. Roar. The sky-shattering lion stands up as well and glares at Sheng Bin savagely. What are you planning to do? Frightened, Sheng Bin immediately retreats several steps. However, before he could get far, the sky-shattering lion dashes forward and takes a sweep at him lightly with its paws. Peng! Before Sheng Bin could react, he is sent flying backward like a kite that had its string snapped. His head knocks onto a giant tree and crimson blood fills his entire face. What exactly happened? You are my grandfather's beast pet. Sheng Bin cries. This sky-shattering lion is the beast pet that his grandfather passed on to him to protect him. Logically, it should have listened to his words to deal with the outsider. Why did it listen to the words of an outsider to attack him? Peng! Before he could finish crying, another figure crashes onto the ground in front of him. He is Xiao Xiong. When that fellow noticed the situation turning Ori, he immediately turned around to flee. However, how could he possibly escape from the sky-shattering lion, a tier 6 savage beast? He is sent flying back with a slap. Roar! After sending these two flying, the sky-shattering lion looks as though it has done something glorious. It walks over to Zhang Xuan with a flattering look, as though wanting to be acknowledged for its accomplishment. Not bad. You did well. Zhang Xuan pats its head. Roar! The sky-shattering lion nods its head quickly. It walks gallantly to the two lying on the floor, keeping a watch on them with a proud look, reminiscent of a responsible watchdog. Sheng Bin and Xiao Xiong, who were planning to escape, are on a verge of tears. Zhang Xuan. You. How did you do that? Spectating the entire flow of events by the side, the dumbstruck Shen Bairu finally recovers and gazes at him curiously. How did I do it? Zhang Xuan scratches his head. This sky-shattering lion is very easy to communicate with. Perhaps, it might be because I am more handsome. Handsome? Shen Bairu blinks and her slim figure staggers. The sky-shattering lion is a savage beast. To it, the term handsome should only be applicable to male sky-shattering lions, so what do you being handsome or not have to do with it? Besides, if one must talk about handsomeness, Sheng Bin is much more dashing than you. Alright. Farewell. Zhang Xuan doesn't continue explaining and turns around to leave. Since the Library of Heaven's Path can peer into the weaknesses of a human, naturally, it would be able to peer into those of the sky-shattering lion as well. This fellow may seem extremely powerful, but in actuality, it has sustained quite a few hidden traumas. Otherwise, it couldn't have possibly willingly served as Elder Sheng Chain's beast pet. The library has detected this flaw of it. Making use of it, Zhang Xuan casually solved some of the easier ones for it. As a result, the sky-shattering lion chooses to obey his commands obediently without the slightest hesitation. In comparison to Shang Bin's promise, no amount of delicious food and pills can compare with a resolved hidden trauma. Of course, this involves his secret as well, so he can't possibly reveal the truth to Shen Bairu. You. Don't go, you haven't explained the reason why the sky-shattering lion obeyed to your commands. Seeing him leave, Shen Bairu quickly catches up. The more she comes into contact with this young man, the more formidable she finds him to be. He is a mystery that is becoming more and more difficult to comprehend. Being able to read so many books just by flipping through them, intentionally scoring a 0 in the teacher qualification examinations despite knowing the answers, realizing his identity as a gourmet through a meal and convincing a tier 6 savage beast to follow his commands easily. What that seems impossible in the eyes of others is accomplished so simply by this young man, leaving others staring in disbelief. How does he accomplish all these? Shen Bairu is becoming more and more curious about this young man before her. Big sister. Oblivious to what she is thinking of, upon seeing her chasing him, Zhang Xuan halts his footsteps and says helplessly, I want to live a long life. I'm afraid that I might not live to the next day being beside you. Just spare me. Big sister? You are the big sister. Your entire family is big sisters. Shen Bairu's face turns bright red. She is a beauty. She might be slightly older than Zhang Xuan, but she looks no different from a 17 or 18-year-old. Yet, this fellow addressed her as a big sister, thus causing her to go into a frenzy. Fine, I am the big sister. So, just let me leave. Zhang Xuan shakes his head in frustration. PFT. Upon hearing Zhang Xuan claim that he is the big sister, Shen Bairu chuckles and says, fine, you can leave. I will look for you tomorrow. Zhang Xuan. Chapter 38, Reprise Bell. It is a scene of chaos in Hongshan Pavilion. What happened? I have barely been away for a while and such a sight awaits my return, the new chapters on novelin.com. In a room, an elderly stares coldly at the kneeling manager W. He is the mastermind behind Hongshan Pavilion, Elder Hong Hao. Elder, it is like that. The grandson of Elder Shang Bin, has been here. Manager W doesn't dare to conceal anything and discloses everything that had happened. This includes the affair which he swapped the drunk immortal with green crack brew. WCHOU, how dare you? After hearing WCHOU's words, Elder Hong Hao's face darkens and he angrily sends a kick towards him. Peng. Manager W is immediately sent flying backward. His face pales as he vomits mouthful after mouthful of blood. Elder, spare me. I do not dare hope to be forgiven for my crimes, but that fellow is even viler. To expose all of these in public and causing the reputation of our Hongshan Pavilion to be ruined, he obviously disregards Elder you completely. HMPH. After doing such shameful things, you still expect others not to talk about them. Elder Hong Hao's face looks hostile, as though a violent storm is gathering on it. I. Manager W trembles uncontrollably. Changing the contents of the dishes to earn more profits is a decision he made at his own discretion. He thought that he had concealed it perfectly. Yet, he was exposed by that young man in public. Naturally, he feels great resentment against him. I'll give you 5 days to settle this problem thoroughly. I want the negative impacts to be reduced to the bare minimum. If so, I can consider not to pursue the matter of your corruption. Otherwise, don't even dream about getting away alive. Elder Hong Hao's eyes are cold like a blizzard at night. Standing up, he asks, also, what is the name of that fellow? Is he a teacher of the academy? If he had informed me discreetly, I might have rewarded him with a sum of fortune, but he chose to cause trouble in public instead, soiling the reputation of my Hongshan Pavilion. I will have a good look at him tomorrow to see who is the one who gave him such guts. Billowing furiously, a savage aura fills the surroundings. It feels like a frontal assault by a wave of frost, causing one to shiver uncontrollably despite the warm weather. Fighter 7 Dan Tongshuan Realm. This Elder Hong Hao is a Tongshuan Realm expert. It is no wonder that he was able to vie for the position of the principal. Just his level of cultivation itself is already astonishing. It is Zhang Xuan Lao Shi. Manager W quickly says. Zhang Xuan? The one who was the last in the teacher qualification examination. Elder Hong Hao is taken aback. Hongshan Academy had never had a single teacher scoring at the very bottom of the teacher qualification examination throughout its centuries of history since its inception. Thus, even a person like Elder Hong Hao had heard of Zhang Xuan's name. That's him. Manager W nods his head. A trash would actually dare to trample on the dignity of Hongshan Pavilion? Excellent. Clenching his fist, a cold glint flashes across his eyes. A heavy murdering intent emanates from Elder Hong Hao. If the other party is a star teacher or an influential figure in the academy, he might have some hesitation over punishing him. However, since he is a trash, then, don't blame him for being heartless. Sigh, how troublesome. Returning back to his dwelling, Zhang Xuan massages the center of his eyebrows. He would have never thought it possible for so much trouble to evolve from just a simple meal. Forget it, there's no use pondering over it. I better spend my time thinking about how I can break into Pixu realm. Quickly, he dumps all excessive thoughts to the back of his head. Despite being a transcender, he knows that in this world, power reigns might. Only with sufficient power will the problems of one cease to be. He is currently at Dingley Realm Pinnacle, and to break through, he would need the cultivation techniques of Fighter 6 Dan. However, an ordinary teacher doesn't have the qualification to browse through the 6 Dan cultivation techniques of the academy. They can only jot down a copy of it with the approval of an elder. In the previous examination, he only had the strength of a Fighter 3 Dan. If he were to rush to an elder to ask for a 6 Dan cultivation technique now, he might end up being researched like a guinea pig. Many troubles will grow out of it. Furthermore, even with the approval of the other party, with just one copy, he is still unable to cultivate. Based on the first 5 Dan of Hongshan 9 Dan formula, this cultivation technique possesses too many flaws. Without the cross-references from numerous other cultivation techniques to seek the correct cultivation method, there wouldn't be any results in his training even if he were to train non-stop for several years. To him, the most pressing matter at hand is to seek a huge pile of Fighter 6 Dan cultivation techniques and draw comparisons among them to deduce the correct cultivation method. And I've heard that quite a bit of trading is done in Tianquan Royal City, and cultivation techniques are one of the goods that are being traded. It would solve quite a bit of problem if I am able to purchase a few 6 Dan cultivation techniques. Suddenly, upon recalling something, Zhang Xuan's eyes light up. Hongshan Academy is located in the capital of Tianquan Kingdom, Tianquan Royal City. Tianquan Royal City is an extraordinarily prosperous city. With numerous large commercial cities in here, all kinds of trade are carried out here. 6 Dan cultivation techniques may be rare, but it is still sold in numerous shops here. Furthermore, to Zhang Xuan, there isn't really a need for him to buy them. As long as he manages to flip through them, it would be as good as gaining possession of the secret manual. With the Library of Heaven's Path, the quality and price of the secret manual no longer matter. As long as there is sufficient quantity, he would be able to derive the correct path out of the innumerable errors, and the Heaven's Path divine art would be automatically compiled, thus allowing him to cultivate swiftly. It is still early. Let's see if I am able to get a few books today. At this point, Zhang Xuan stops hesitating and stands up immediately. The sun has just set and the nightlife has just begun. Since he is free anyway, it is a good opportunity to stroll through the commercial cities. Perhaps, he might find some useful items. The new commercial city is the largest trading market in Tianquan City. It is said that as long as one possesses sufficient money, he is able to buy everything he desires here. Stepping into the market, Zhang Xuan feels his vision blurring from the sight of the innumerable goods laid out before him. His previous self was just an ordinary teacher. His wages were low and he was treated poorly. As a result, he had never been to such a grand place before. Thus, Zhang Xuan finds himself incapable of identifying most of the goods on sale here. There are many small vendors in the commercial city. A vendor sits in front of each of these booths and all kinds of goods are laid out before them. Weapons, pills, herbs, armor, beast skin, beast pills. Almost everything that is required for cultivation can be found here. Just that, there are too many of them. It is difficult to ascertain which of them are of superior quality and which of them are of inferior quality. I might be unable to discern between the good and bad, but the Library of Heaven's Path might be capable of it. Such a thought flashes through his mind. Thus, Zhang Xuan immediately walks over to a booth. This gentleman here, what are you looking for? I have everything you need here and I guarantee your satisfaction with my goods. The vendor quickly welcomes his presence. I'll just take a casual look. Zhang Xuan smiles. He casually picks up an object in the booth. It is a circular bell of average size. This bell is specially forged by a blacksmith and has extraordinary abilities. It is on sale for just 50 gold coins. I can assure you that the price is fair. I offer the very same price to everyone passing by. If you are interested in it, I can give you a special discount. It'll be yours for just 20 gold coins. The vendor coaxes. Zhang Xuan doesn't respond to his words. Rather, he twirls the bell around his hand. Weng! The library in his mind jolts and a book appears in it. Reprise bell. It is able to generate the same tune over and over again, causing one to feel dizzy-headed. It is effective against Fighter 1 Dan. It is created by a one more craftsman of Blue Cloud Workshop. It is made of Wujin metal. Flaws. Number 1. The duration required for the reprise sound to take effect is long, requiring at least an incensus time, making it an ineffective weapon in battle. Number 2. It doesn't differentiate in its attacks, the wielder will take damage from it as well. Till to 15 minute. Indeed, it is possible. Zhang Xuan smiles. It doesn't matter even if he is unfamiliar with all these items. As long as he touches them with his hands and picks them up, the library would compile a corresponding book on it. Furthermore, this book details the history, composition and all kinds of flaws of the item in question comprehensively. With just a single look, it is apparent to see if the item is valuable or not. Those who are unaware of the truth might just buy it with the vendor's previous offer of 20 gold coins. Only by looking at the contents recorded in the book does Zhang Xuan realize that this toy isn't even worth 2 gold coins. What's specially forged by a blacksmith? Blue Cloud Workshop is an organization that specializes in the production of fake goods. Furthermore, one more craftsmen are the ones with the worst craftsmanship of them all. Those who specializes in the creation of goods and handicraft are termed as craftsmen. They are classified into 9 more, with 1 more being the worst and 9 more being the best. How valuable can a creation of a 1 more craftsman be? With the library here, I won't have to worry about purchasing fake goods. Zhang Xuan chuckles. This world is similar to his previous one. With authentic goods come imitations, and given his previous ability of discernment, needless to say, the authentic ones, he might not even be able to tell the strengths and weaknesses of an imitation. However, with the assistance of the library, he doesn't have to worry about it anymore. Just that, he needs to come into contact with the item for a book to be compiled on it. The number of items in this market total up to at least 10 million. If he had to touch every single one of them, wouldn't he tire himself to death? Besides, if he were to just look at the goods, he wouldn't attract much attention. However, if he touches everything he catches his sight on, it probably won't take long for the security enforcement team of the commercial city to think of him as a lunatic and drive him out of the city. Chapter 39, Frigid Sun Mother Grass. Right, do you sell frigid sun grass here? Shaking his head to dispel the additional thoughts in his mind, Zhang Xuan asks. On top of miscellaneous items, this vendor also sells some herbs. After finishing those books in the Compendium Pavilion, he has already found a solution to Zhao Ya's problem. With a pure yin body, she should cultivate a gentle and neutral cultivation technique. This way, the problem of the accumulation of yin energy should be solved. However, she has already cultivated a pure yin cultivation technique for a long time and the meridians in her body have already adapted to it. If an abrupt change were to be introduced, her body might sustain a severe trauma and her cultivation will fall steeply. To prevent this from occurring, some preparations have to be made in advance. One of them is to nourish her meridians through medicinal herbs. Frigid sun grass grows in cold regions despite favoring sunny conditions. As a result, the warm and cold spiritual energy contained within it clashes, causing the amalgamation of yin and yang, thus making it the ideal choice to nourish her meridians. Since he is in the commercial city now, it is a good time for him to ask around about it. Frigid sun grass? It is a coincidence that you ask this. Not to brag, but I can guarantee you that I am the only vendor in the new commercial city that has this good. I procured them a few days ago from a dangerous region in Tiangshuan forest. I have a total of 10 stocks and each stock costs 100 gold coins. How many do you need? The vendor smiles and turns around to take out a box. Opening it, a few fresh-looking plants are revealed within. White flowers with red stems and leaves. Let me take a look first. Zhang Xuan only knows about the frigid sun grass through books, so he isn't very familiar with it. He reaches out to grab a stalk and places it on his palm. When? The library jolts and a book appears. Frigid sun grass, harvested from an unknown valley 200 kilometers into Tiangshuan forest. Aged 2. Flaws. The name of the herb is written on the cover of the book and the location of its procurement and its flaws are recorded in it. New Centrius at bin. Go. It is frigid sun grass, this fellow isn't lying. Confirming that there is no mistake with the name on the book, Zhang Xuan knows that the vendor owner isn't lying to him. This is the authentic medicinal herb, so he nods his head. Just when he is about to speak, his eyes happen to glance on the interiors of the box. Why does this stalk of frigid sun grass look slightly withered? Could it be that your procurement method is incorrect, causing its death? There is a specific method to harvesting medicinal herbs. If the method is wrong, the medicinal properties of the herb might be lost, causing its price to dip steeply. The stalk of frigid sungrass he is talking about is withered, thin and slightly yellow, seemingly immature. Furthermore, it doesn't look fresh at all. With a shriveled large head, it seems as though it would die at any moment. This gentleman here must be joking. I depend on this for a living, so how could I possibly get it wrong? This stalk of herb isn't of good condition from the very start, it was already like that when I procured it initially. If you want it, I will sell it to you at half price, 50 gold coins. The vendor says. N. Zhang Xuan picks up the yellowish and withered stalk of frigid sun grass. Weng. Frigid sun mother grass, the origin of other frigid sun grasses. Harvested from an unknown valley 200 kilometers into Zhang Xuan forest. Aged 15. Flipping open the book, the name of the herb and details on it is recorded. Frigid sun mother grass. Zhang Xuan's eyes light up. He has read it on the books previously. This extremely valuable and rare herb is the core of all other frigid sun grass. If this herb were to be used in the creation of a medicine, its effectiveness would at least be 10 times of the latter. He didn't expect to stumble upon this treasure when he was just casually looking for herbs. Furthermore, this herb is 15-year-old. Just by this itself determines the extraordinary worth of it. If Zhaoya were to use the frigid sun grass to nourish her meridians, she would still require the augmentation from several other means to successfully change her cultivation technique. However, with this stalk of frigid sun grass, the problem can be easily solved. She wouldn't even need the augmentation from other means. This is the most suitable medicinal herb for her, no questions about it. Wrap this stalk up for me. Although he is agitated, his face still remains expressionless as he casually passes it back to the vendor. If the other party realizes that this is a mother stalk and not a sickly one, its price would instantly shoot up by 10 times, and even so, he might still be unable to purchase it from him. As a four-halves youngster who grew up in the modern civilized world, he wouldn't do himself any injustice when he is able to profit out of something. Four-halves refer to dream, moral, culture and discipline. Originated from Deng Xiaoping in 1980. 50 gold coins. Seeing how well-dressed the young man seemed to be, he thought that he would purchase a few stock. He didn't expect that he would just buy a sickly one. Pursing his lips, he wraps it casually, the warmth from before absent on his face. Even a vendor judges his own customers when doing sales. The person before him isn't even willing to buy a good medicinal herb, thus making it clear to see that he is a poor bloke. Since that's the case, it would just be a waste of time to try to coax him otherwise. Grabbing the herb, Zhang Xuan reaches out to his pocket and awkwardness immediately shows on his face. Due to being too absorbed in the library, he forgot about the matter of money. As a low-level teacher, his wages are low. Furthermore, due to scoring a 0 in the teacher qualification examination, his fortunes were penalized severely. In other words, he doesn't even have 10 gold coins in his pocket, needless to say, 50. Is there anything wrong? Sensing that something is amiss from his face, the vendor asks. Cough cough, can you sell it to me for 8 gold coins? Zhang Xuan counts the gold coins he retrieves from his pocket and there are only 8 of them. 8? You must be joking. Since you didn't bring any money, why are you trying to buy anything at all? Seeing the few coins placed on the other party's palm, the vendor owner is on the verge of doing a somersault and crashing to the floor. He had met with miserly customers, but he had never met with such a miserly one. Trying to buy frigid sun grass with just 8 gold coins? You must be dreaming. Even if this stock is sickly, it is still worth far beyond this price. Snatching back the herb, he waves his hand with an annoyed look, scram if you don't have any money. I don't have the effort to be arguing with you over this. Cough cough. It is true that I didn't bring sufficient money, but are you sure that you don't want to sell it to me? Seeing the attitude of the vendor, Zhang Xuan shakes his head. Nonsense. Even if this stock looks awful, it still contains medicinal properties. At worst, it can still be sold for 30 or 40 gold coins. Yet, you offer me 8 gold coins? What a joke. Hurry up and leave, or else I will be calling for the security enforcement team. Seeing how this fellow is reluctant to leave despite being broke, he angrily chases him away. In order to prevent people from coercing others to buy or sell goods, as well as to deter troublemakers, most large commercial cities operate a security enforcement patrol team in their perimeter. As long as one calls out for them, they would appear quickly. Even if you are a fighter 5 Dan Dingley realm expert, you will be chased out of the commercial city instantly. Furthermore, to make a move on the security enforcement team means to make a move on the entire commercial city. Normally, no one would have the guts to stand up against them. Upon seeing how this fellow refuses to leave despite not possessing sufficient money, he is certain that he is here to cause trouble. So, he opens his mouth to call for the security enforcement team. Don't call for the security enforcement team, I'm really interested in buying it. Zhang Xuan interrupts him. With a calm and steady look, he chuckles softly, I might not have sufficient money, but I'm not here to cause trouble. Do you believe that if I were to open my mouth, not only will you be willing to sell it to me, you would even offer to give it to me for free? Give it to you for free? Are you still in the midst of your sleep? The vendor didn't expect the poor bloke to say such words. He looks at the young man before him with an attitude as though he is looking at an idiot and sneers coldly, if I were to really give it to you for free, I'll call you grandpa. In his opinion, this fellow must have a screw loose. Not mentioning how he doesn't bring sufficient money to purchase goods, he even thinks that he would give it to him for free. I am not insane, why would I give it to you for free? Who do you think you are? Call me grandpa? You don't need to do that. Zhang Xuan shakes his head. He looks at the vendor with a bright smile and says, you will give it to me for free because I said so. If you doubt my words, I will take 2 steps. Cough cough, let's see what will happen after I give you a punch. Chapter 40, The Master is here. The Master is here. Give me a punch. The vendor doesn't know what the young man is up to. Indeed. Zhang Xuan nods his head. You are trying to make a fool out of me. Seeing the serious look on the other person's face, the vendor's rage comes surging out and he sends a fist towards Zhang Xuan. He had seen crazy people before, but he had never seen such a crazy person. You still want me to let you give me a punch? Why don't I beat you up to death instead? Putting all of his strength into his punch routine, the vine rustles from the force of his blow, thus exposing his level of cultivation. Fighter 3 Dan Chenki Realm Primary Stage. Not bad. Smiling faintly, Zhang Xuan moves his body slightly to dodge the attack. He has already reached Fighter 5 Dan Dingley Realm Pinnacle. Naturally, the strength of a Fighter 3 Dan Primary Stage cannot hurt him. He assumed that the young man is here just to cause trouble, so he thought that he would just be a delinquent without cultivation. However, upon seeing him dodge his attack easily, he immediately realizes that the young man's cultivation is on a higher level than his. The vendor stops as bewilderment overwhelms him. A fellow who has at least reached the level of Fighter 3 Dan can't possibly be really trying to buy stuff with just 8 gold coins. If I'm not wrong, you are from Xia Pingay. The moment the vendor made a move, a book on him is compiled in the Library of Heaven's Path. Getting what he had intended for, Zhang Xuan smiles faintly. How? How did you know? The vendor is taken aback. Xia Pingay is one of the provincial cities around Tianshuan Royal City. It isn't a large city and there are at least 80 of such cities around the capital. The vendor was puzzled by how Zhang Xuan could pinpoint it out accurately. He couldn't resist looking down to study his appearance, but there doesn't seem to be any defining traits on him that would reveal his place of origin. It doesn't matter how I know it. Zhang Xuan activates this acting cool mode. He looks at the other party once again in a calm and dignified demeanor. Half a year ago, you probably met with danger in Tianshuan Forest and was bitten by a cold bamboo snake. Although you managed to escape with your life, your kidneys were damaged. If I'm not wrong. When you are doing that, it is difficult for you to showcase your masculinity. You. The vendor staggers backward. His eyes are widened so large that they are on the verge of falling to the floor. It is true that he was bitten by a cold bamboo snake in Tianshuan Forest half a year ago. After which, the latter half of Zhang Xuan's words are true as well. However, other than him and the lady from the brothel, he had never talked about it with another person. How did this young man know about it? Could it be that he is a seer? Someone who is capable of divining the future? The vendor is still filled with disbelief. Why? Are my words wrong? Seeing the expression on the other party's face, Zhang Xuan knew that what was written in the Library of Heaven's Path isn't wrong. Thus, he expresses a look of pity and says, if you find what I have said inaccurate, I can do without the medicinal herb and leave right now. However, your only chance at treating your problem will disappear as well. Sai, you won't be able to be a man from now onward, don't blame me for not reminding you now. Gongzi, don't go. Gongzi, gentlemen. Hearing that the other party is capable of treating him, the vendor's body trembles in agitation as he hurriedly takes a step forward. You. Can you really treat me? To a man, nothing is more pathetic than losing one's potency. These days, he dares not respond to the invitations of his friends, afraid that his problem would be exposed in front of them. Suffering silently, he had looked for many different physicians, but they all came to the same conclusion, that his symptoms are hard to treat and the only solution is amputation. He dares not believe that a casual buyer would point out his problem directly and even claim that he is capable of treating it. CHECK out LT Saint VL on Novel Bin, cm. I won't force you to believe me. However, since I am able to tell what is wrong with you, naturally, I have my own ways to treat it as well. Zhang Xuan declares. Gongzi, I plead you to help treat me. As long as you can treat me. Not just that single stalk of frigid sungrass, you can take all of my herbs. The vendor lunges forward in a panic, the plea in his eyes clear to see. There are too many incredible people in the world. The words of the young man are logical since he is able to see through his problem, he definitely has a way to treat it. Besides, he has no choice to grasp onto every straw of hope that he could find. After all, this concerns his future happiness. And, you were bitten by the cold bamboo snake. This creature inherently possesses cold attribute. When you were bitten by it, cold energy erupted into your body, causing you to lose your physical function. Furthermore, it is unable to dispel by any medicinal herb, thus even quite a few apothecaries will find themselves helpless before it. However, what is bizarre about this snake is that even though its entire body is cold, its gall is warm. As long as you find another snake, kill it and consume its gall, you are able to expel the cold energy from your body completely. Your damaged kidney would gradually recover and you would be able to showcase your masculinity as a man once more. Zhang Xuan says. There are many antidotes to the poison of the cold bamboo snake, but the best antidote of all lies on its body. Its gall is the crux to counteracting its unique cold energy. This is written on one of the manuals in Hongshan Compendium Pavilion. Upon the thought of cold bamboo snakes, this information pops up into his mind. This is also precisely the reason why he only mentioned the gallbladder of the cold bamboo snake. Otherwise, with the Library of Heaven's path capability of displaying innumerable flaws, there is a multitude of remedies he could provide him, he need not specifically choose this one. Eating the snake gall of a cold bamboo snake. The vendor is still in a state of disbelief. So simple? If this is true, why did none of the many physicians he had visited say so? There should be cold bamboo snakes on sale in this commercial city. If you doubt my words, you can buy one of them and try it right now. I will only leave after we verify it. Zhang Xuan says. Medicinal herbs aren't the only things on sale in Tianyu commercial city, there are also all kinds of treasures, savage beasts and animals. Cold bamboo snake is one of the lower tier savage beasts. Although it contains lethal poison within it, it can be used in concocting medicines, so there are people selling it here. Fine, wait for a moment. After hesitating for a moment, the vendor turns around and leaves. A short moment later, he returns with a cage and a cold bamboo snake is crawling around in it. As a Janki realm fighter, as long as he is prepared, killing a cold bamboo snake isn't a difficult task. It didn't take long for the snake gall to be extracted. Without any hesitation, the vendor swallows it directly. Soon, the vendor's eyes light up. The vendor seems to have already gotten an answer to whether the remedy works or not. I thank Gongzi for your help. These frigid sungrass are all yours. With his eyes glowing with excitement, the vendor nearly kneels down in gratitude from the joy surging through him. This was a problem that had been plaguing him for a long time. In fact, there was even a period when he didn't want to live anymore. In order to treat this deficiency of his, he spent several years of his savings and never would he expect for it to be treated just like that. See, I didn't lie when I said that you would give them to me for free. Zhang Xuan helps himself to the generous gifts of the vendor and grabs the box filled with frigid sungrasses. Knowledge is a type of wealth as well. It is natural for Zhang Xuan to receive some compensation from the vendor after solving the illness that was plaguing him. Gongzi, I apologize for my inadequacy for not realizing your capabilities. I beg for your forgiveness. The vendor scratches his head in embarrassment. Just a moment ago, he was still declaring resolutely that if he were to give the frigid sungrasses to Zhang Xuan for free, he would call him grandpa. Never would he expect for Zhang Xuan's words to truly come to be. It's nothing. Zhang Xuan casually waves his hand to show that it was a small matter. Just as he is about to leave, a crowd of people suddenly dashes forward, their faces red from agitation. Quick, Master Moyang is here. One would be able to prosper through the guidance of Master Moyang. This is an opportunity not to be missed. This time, as long as it is a treasure Master Moyang appraises for me, I will buy it no matter how much it costs. Indeed, I felt regretful after missing that opportunity by the previous time. The crowds discuss as they ran over. What is happening? Seeing how the crowds are agitated as though a star has arrived, Zhang Xuan is puzzled. Master Moyang has come. Even the eyes of the vendor are glowing with excitement. Chapter 41, Treasure Speculation. Is that Master Moyang you all speak of that incredible? Zhang Xuan asks doubtfully. To be capable of inciting the agitation of so many people, causing them to go into a frenzy, who is this Master Moyang? Just what kind of magical abilities does he possess? Yes, he is extremely incredible. Reverence can be heard from the vendor's tone. He is an expert appraiser. Appraiser? Zhang Xuan nods his head. Appraiser and gourmet are both special occupations. However, the former is a middle 9 parts occupation. This occupation may not be as glorious as apothecaries, blacksmiths and formation masters, but it is capable of sending innumerable people into hysteria. That is because they are able to tell whether an item is a treasure or not just by looking at it. In the field of treasure speculation, they possess golden fingers that make them an existence similar to the god of gambling. Many people would follow behind reverently them the moment they appear in public. Treasure speculation is a commercial activity similar to Earth's rock speculation. There are some ancient treasures whose original radiance is buried under the cloak of rock and faunas. Just by the outer appearance itself, the most one could do is to identify what the artifact is. It is impossible to tell the tier of the treasure and the specifications of it. Rock speculation, information on it left on the bottom. Its true form will only be revealed when the exterior of the artifact is cleaned. There are many treasure dealers who choose not to clean up these treasures and sell them in such a form instead. This is similar to the concept of rock gambling. After which, the buyer would purchase the artifact based on their discernment ability and intuition and clean up its exterior afterward. If they are lucky, it might turn out to be a supreme treasure which would make them millionaires in an instant. On the other hand, it is also possible for them to go bankrupt after investing greatly on some useless object. Heaven on one side and hell on the other. It is due to the very unpredictability of the game that many people are obsessed with it, sometimes even going crazy over it. Appraisers are capable of ascertaining whether a treasure is real or not. Those who are more capable are even able to make a judgment on an artifact before it has been tidied up. Thus, even though the occupation is only of the middle 9 parts, the charms of it has attracted many to walk on such a road. After all, it is the Midas's touch. As long as they think that it is a treasure, people would buy it no matter how expensive they are. This Master Moyang arrived here 7 days ago. It is rumored that he is an incredible appraiser from some other kingdom. However, back then, no one paid him any notice. The vendor introduces Master Moyang excitedly. The first day, when someone wanted to buy a wine bottle-like object that costs about 100 gold coin, Master Moyang tried to persuade him otherwise. However, that person refused to listen, and in the end, after wiping it clean, it is proven that there is a problem with the object and it isn't worth a single gold coin. The second day, Master Moyang persuaded a fighter to spend 200 gold coins to buy a treasure. That person refused to believe him, so he didn't buy it. Thus, Master Moyang bought it himself, and after it is wiped clean, it turned out to be a mortal pinnacle weapon. It is something that cannot be bought even with several thousand gold coins. He profited several dozen folds in an instant. That filled the fighter with so much regret that the thought of suicide even crossed his mind. By the third day, he was already very famous. There are many people who wanted his guidance on what they should buy. However, only a lucky lad was granted that opportunity. He advised him to buy a small jade bottle that is worth 500 gold coins. At that moment, many people thought that he had erred. No matter how incredible that jade vase is, it can't possibly be worth such a sum. Who knew that the moment it is opened, 6 dear 6 pills were found inside? Someone even offered to buy that vase for 10,000 gold coins on the spot. The vendor's eyes light up, that is to say, a profit of 20-fold. That is too incredible. The next few days, he came by the market every day and he only advised a single person on each day. Even so, the person that he chooses is certain strike it rich. Many people went frenzied over this. Thus, they started to camp here from day to night, hoping to win his favor so that he would offer them his pointer. Now that he's here again, it is not abnormal for those people to be so agitated. Amazing. Hearing the story of Master Moyang, Zhang Xuan's eyes light up as he nods his head in approval. To be able to appraise the true worth of a treasure under a layer of moss and silt, his eye for discernment must be extraordinary. And, that's right. I possess the Library of Heaven's Path, so does it mean that I am able to do it as well? Zhang Xuan's eyes light up. The Library of Heaven's Path allows one to see through the true nature of things just by coming into contact with it. Other people might need some luck in treasure speculation, but he doesn't need such a thing. There is an easy way for me to strike it rich. Upon such thoughts, Zhang Xuan is unable to calm his agitated heart. In rock speculation, before buying a rock, others would need to study the various aspects of the rock to deduce whether jade would come out of it. However, Zhang Xuan is different. Just by touching the artifact with his hands, the Library of Heaven's Path in his mind would automatically generate an answer for him. Purchasing the artifact after knowing the answer, it would be a simple matter for him to profit out of this trade. It just happens to his wages are low and he didn't have much money. So, this is a good opportunity for him to give it a try to earn a sum. Following the directions given by the vendor, Zhang Xuan soon arrived at the hall where treasure speculation is conducted. As he expected, the site in here isn't much different from rock speculation. All kinds of treasures are placed on an elevated platform and every single one of them are thickly covered by a layer of moss, silt, rust and rock. It is already a difficult task to make out the shape of the artifacts, needless to say, appraise its value. Let me give it a try first. It is true that Zhang Xuan is unable to discern between them just by sight alone. Although Zhang Xuan suspects that the Library of Heaven's Path is able to peer into the true nature of the artifact, he is unable to ascertain it. Thus, to verify his theory, he casually touches an artifact that is about the size of a human's head. When his mind jolts and a book appears in the library. Ornamental vase, forged by a one-more craftsman from southern Qin. Flaws, it has cracks on it and could shatter at any moment. The description of the artifact is compiled into a book. Despite being massive, it turned out to be a trash. Zhang Xuan comments impassively as his eyes glitter in excitement. Just as he thought. As long as he comes into physical contact with it, he is able to receive a detailed introduction on the artifact. Thus, he need not fear no matter how well hidden these treasures are, he would surely be able to identify them accurately. He casually touches a few of the larger artifacts before him and realizes that none of them are of great value. He continues on with a dozen of the artifacts by the sides, but they aren't really valuable either. Zhang Xuan can't help but shake his head. It is no wonder the sellers of these artifacts are able to profit out of it and that appraisers are so well received, the probability of a true treasure appearing among them is way too low. Master, please give me some pointers. I am willing to pay you for your advice. Master, I'm begging you. Just as he is randomly touching the treasures casually, piercing screams echo outside the hall as the sought-after Master Moyang walks over. The eyes of those chasing behind him are crimson red, and they look as though they have gone mad. Master, as long as you offer me your pointer, this young girl will obey every single command of yours. Master, I am willing to bear your babies, as long as you guide me. There are even women who are sticking close to him, trying to seduce him with their physical charms. Zhang Xuan is flabbergasted. New N0 Whale chapters are published on N0VE, Pound, I-N, Co-M. He is way too popular. It seems as though with a single word of Master Moyang, countless girls would be willing to serve him tonight. I will be leaving Tianshuan Royal City tonight. In order to show my gratitude for the warmth everyone has welcomed me with, I will appraise for 5 people today. You all need not worry over it. There is a chance for everyone who is fated with me. Upon reaching the treasure speculation hall, Master Moyang stops. This Master Moyang has a snowy white beard, which exposes his advanced age. Yet, his skin is smooth and shiny without a single crease on it, probably because he maintained his skin diligently. His eyes have an aura of superiority, making one feel inadequate in comparison. As such, no one is willing to meet his gaze. Chapter 42, Someone is acting cool, 1. Leaving tonight? Master, why don't you stay for a few more days? Why are you leaving so soon? Hearing that the master is about to depart from the city, looks of anxiety appear on the faces of the crowd. It is rare for an appraiser to appear in Tianshuan Royal City, and yet he is leaving just after a few days? I still have matters to attend to. Master Moyang's eyebrows shoot upwards. He carries with him a demeanor unique to experts, and his disposition is reminiscent of a flowing river, unable to grasp with certainty. How about this? I will increase the number of treasures I will appraise today from 5 to 10. You all also know that appraising isn't an easy task, it drains one's strength and energy. 10 is already my limit. Master, rest assured. As long as you help me pick out an artifact for me, I am willing to compensate you. A middle-aged man shouts from the crowd. Yeah, we are willing to compensate you. As long as Master chooses something out for me, regardless of the cost of the item is, I am willing to pay Master the same amount of money. There are quite a few people who started yelling in response to his words. Based on the battle records of the Master, those who had received his pointers has each earned several folds of the amount they had invested initially. As long as they are able to obtain a true treasure, paying a little bit of money in compensation is nothing in comparison. HMPH. Master Moyang flings his arm and interrupts the discussions of the crowd. Frowning, he declares with an aura of superiority, I, Moyang, didn't learn appraisal for money. The reason why I am appraising for you all is not to make a wealth. If I really desired money, there is no need for me to help you all. I just have to appraise an artifact and sell it myself, won't I earn a bigger fortune that way? Ken. The crowd is stumped for words. His words aren't wrong. With his eye of discernment, he could just buy those artifacts that he had appraised to be treasures for himself, and he would be able to easily earn a big sum out of it. The reason why I promised to appraise for you all is because your warmth has moved me. Money is fleeting to me, similar to the clouds. Money is easy to earn, but friendship is priceless. With both his hands behind his back, Master Moyang exudes an aura of an unworldly saint that mortals can only look up to. He continues, the reason why I promised to appraise artifacts for you all is because of our relationship, not for money. If anyone were to continue talking about money, then don't bother asking me to appraise for you. Master, your words are wise. We were too impertinent. We can never hope to match up the master in terms of morals. I have never conceded to anyone in my entire life. Today, you are the first one I will concede to, master. Hearing the words of the master, those who were shouting about paying him previously felt ashamed of themselves. Look at how he carries himself, then look at ourselves. Is there even a basis for comparison? No wonder he is a master while we are just small fries. However, before I start appraising for you all, I would like to say something. An appraiser can only heighten the possibility of attaining a treasure. I cannot promise you all that you all will get a treasure with 100% probability. Master Moyang continues. Master, we all are aware that treasure speculation brings about risk. Your ability to discern treasure from trash is far superior to us and we trust in you. We believe in Master's judgment. We know the rules, how can one possibly lay their hands on treasures all the time? However, we believe that Master would definitely be able to help us profit. Everyone starts shouting simultaneously. Since everyone believes in me, then I will go ahead and embarrass myself. May I know which friend here would like me to choose an artifact for him? Master Moyang surveys the surrounding. Me. Me. In an instant, innumerable people raise their hands and leap about in excitement. The appeal of an appraiser is clear to see. Every action of theirs can make people go into a frenzy. All right, you. Master Moyang points, and a pot-bellied middle-aged man walks out from the crowd, still unable to believe the fact that he has been chosen. Me. Is it really me? It's you. Master Moyang nods his head with a smile on his face, the aura of a master clearly exuding through his actions. Thank you, master. The middle-aged man leaps in excitement as he stares at the elder before him with a desirous gaze. Master, may I ask which one of them should I buy? Let me take a look. Flinging his sleeves, he walks forward. He calmly gazes upon the numerous artifacts placed on the platform. The crowd turns silent along with his actions, not daring to speak out loud for fear of distracting him. Soon, he stops and places his palm on one of the artifacts. After feeling the exterior of the artifact gently, he seems to use some kind of special technique that results in the shuddering of his entire body. A moment later, his face pales slightly. All right, you can buy this one. I have just taken a look at it with my special technique and it is worth quite a sum. Master Moyang turns around and informs the middle-aged man. This one. The eyes of the middle-aged man light up and he rushes forward to take a look. It is a gigantic treasure that has been enveloped by a thick layer of rock, to the point that the entire artifact simply looks like a giant boulder. This kind of treasure is the hardest to clean. Furthermore, given its massive size, being around the height of a human, it would take at least a day or two to chip the stone off of it carefully. Master Moyang nods his head. Since it is a recommendation by the master, I will buy it. The middle-aged man nods his head and looks towards the dealer. How much does it cost? 50,000 gold coins. The dealer of the treasure speculation hall steps forward. Wis 10-0, V, LB, I, N, dot for the best novel reading experience. 50,000. The middle-aged man is taken aback. This isn't a small sum. Even despite the great wealth he possesses, it is about the limit of what he can come up with. Even a popular high-level teacher like Shen Bairu only earns around 1,000 gold coins every month. She would take several years just to reach 50000. Buy it. This is a recommendation by the master. If you don't want it, I will take it. Upon seeing his hesitation, someone in the crowd shouts. Indeed, the master's recommendation can't possibly go wrong. It might cost 50,000 now, but if it is worth 10 lakhs after it has been cleaned up, then you would have landed on a gold mine. The previous few times, the treasures that the master appraised were of smaller scale. This time, he seems to have decided to go all out. You really struck it big this time. Quite a few people shouted out. All right, I will buy it. After hesitating for a moment, the middle-aged man nods his head and foots the bill. All right, the second one. After the middle-aged man bought the artifact, Master Moyang seems to have also recovered from his exertion and surveys the surroundings once more. Me! Me! The rest of the crowd raises their hands hurriedly. Glancing over, Zhang Xuan notices the vendor from before whom he had helped to solve his problem in the crowd. His hand is raised up high and he waves it with an enthusiastic expression, his strong desire to be chosen by the master clear to see. You! Master Moyang chooses another person. This time, it is an elderly who is dressed extravagantly. With just a single look, it is apparent that he owns great wealth. Similar to the first time, the master walks past the pile of treasures and soon sets his sight upon one of it. 80,000 gold coins. This treasure is even more expensive than the one from before. However, this elderly doesn't even hesitate and immediately pays the bill. Isn't this the ornamental vase crafted by a one more craftsman from the southern kin? 80,000 gold coins. After taking a good look at the treasure Master Moyang chose for the elder, Zhang Xuan blinks his eyes in disbelief. He might be unable to ascertain the value of the other treasures, given that he had yet to take a look at them, but he had already peered into the one Master Moyang just chose. It might be big, but only a decorative vase is contained inside. It isn't even worth a single gold coin and yet. 80,000 gold coins? Could he be off the mark? Just as puzzlement fills his mind, Zhang Xuan can't help but stare at the righteous-looking face of the master when his mind suddenly jolts and a book appears in the library. The words, Moyang, is written on it. Could he be using a battle technique at the moment? Based on the unique properties of the Library of Heaven's Path, a book can only be compiled when one showcases his battle technique. Could it be that the fellow is using one at the current moment? Filled with bewilderment, he flips open the book. This. Taking a look at it, Zhang Xuan's lip twitches and a bizarre expression appears on his face. Chapter 43, Someone is acting cool, too. The numerous flaws and the past deeds of Master Moyang is recorded on the book. Originally known as Yang Mo, an apprentice appraiser. A scammer in Liuzhu Kingdom who made his name as an appraiser, notorious for his frauds to earn wealth and the favor of women. Battle techniques, voice of allurement, rookie. Beguile the mind of others through words, making it easier to convince them. Flaws, number 1 outlawed by the royalty of Liuzhu Kingdom. Number 2. Zhang Xuan doesn't know whether he should laugh or cry. To think that the fellow who had the appearance and disposition of an expert would turn out to be a scammer. For a moment back there, even Zhang Xuan thought that he was an amazing figure. Looks like there are quite a few people in the crowd that are his men. The dealer selling the artifacts must be an accomplice of his as well. They worked together to build up his fame out of appraising treasures so that they could convince people to buy useless trash at a high price, thus profiting out of it. If there is someone conducting a fraud, there must be someone that would be tricked as well. Despite knowing that the other party is a fraudster, Zhang Xuan has no intentions to expose him at all. Firstly, he doesn't have the evidence to prove it. The matter with the Library of Heaven's Path must not be exposed at all costs. Secondly, those who had been scammed by him had already lost their rationality. If he were to try to convince them that he is a fraudster, it is possible that he might end up getting lynched by them. Zhang Xuan would never do deeds that do not benefit him, not to mention that it would bring him a string of troubles. Forget it. I think I will just look through and buy my own items. Can't be bothered with the Master Moyang, who is busy trying to act cool by putting on an expert's demeanor. Zhang Xuan continues to browse through the treasures placed on the platform, casually touching them as he passes them by. A book would be compiled in his mind as long as he comes into physical contact with the item. Although the prices of the item aren't reflected in the library, the items with fewer flaws are definitely of higher value. After touching 40 to 50 items, he realized that there is not a single valuable one among them. The absurdly low possibility of finding a treasure in the mix makes him shudder. The final chance will be given to you. Just as Zhang Xuan is busy touching the artifacts around the room, an authoritative voice resounds within the room. Turning his head to take a look, he sees the worldly expert, Master Moyang, looking at him, nodding his head slightly as though to ascertain Zhang Xuan's doubts that he has been chosen. Countless gaze are affixed to him and they are filled with envy. Me? Zhang Xuan is taken aback. This little friend here, there's no need for you to be so unconfident about yourself. You are the one? Master Moyang strokes his beard with a proud expression, as though saying that it is Zhang Xuan's honor to be chosen by him. Unconfident? Zhang Xuan shakes his head. Which part of him looks unconfident? Rather, he is thinking about how could he be so unlucky to be chosen. Of so many frenzied followers following behind you, why did you have to choose me? However, after a short moment, he comes to a realization. Those who are here for treasure speculation today are mostly following behind the back of the master. Given that Zhang Xuan is the only one strolling about the hall, browsing through and touching the artifacts casually, it would be hard for him to not to stand out. I appreciate your goodwill, but I don't need it. Knowing that the other party is a fraudster, he is unwilling to become the gold mine for him to profit from. Zhang Xuan waves his hand and continues to look through the pile of treasures. Don't need it? Master Mo Yang frowns. Of the 9 slots he had given out previously, regardless of who they are, they all responded to him in enthusiasm, some even on the verge of fainting due to excessive agitation. Yet, when he chose this fellow, he actually doesn't want it. He conceals his darkened face quickly. Waving his hand, he walks forward while stroking his beard and looks at Zhang Xuan with a pained expression. Since you are here for treasure speculation, surely you would wish to buy a true treasure. I noticed that you have been browsing around the hall unskillfully, so I decided to offer you some guidance so that you won't end up bankrupt at such a young age. Are you certain that you don't need it? Don't disappoint me by rejecting the goodwill that I hold for you. Lad, if you don't want the slot, give it to me. He actually doesn't want the slot the master gave him. Is there something wrong with his head? It is clear to see that he is abnormal with a single look. I had noticed the fellow previously. He had been touching all of the artifacts in the room. Could it be that he is thinking of stealing something? If master were to grant such an opportunity to me, I would probably awake from my sleep smiling every day. Everyone could hear the conversation between Zhang Xuan and the master clearly, and they stare at the former as though they are looking at a monster. He is a master appraiser. He will be leaving today after appraising for 10 people. It is such a good opportunity and everyone is vying for it frenziedly. Yet, this fellow doesn't want it? If his brain isn't damaged, what else can it be? I really don't need it. Zhang Xuan shakes his head. End up bankrupt? If I listen to your words, then I will truly end up bankrupt. Don't be so quick to reject me. Before Zhang Xuan could finish his words, Master Mo Yang interrupts. With deep eyes that reflect his compassion for the world and his determination to save those in suffering, he says, it isn't easy for a youngster like you to earn some money. I do not hope to earn anything from granting you this slot. It is out of the kindness of my heart that I hope that you do not buy something useless and waste your fortune. Top VL updates on NOVPoundin.com. Master Mo Yang is too compassionate. Not only is he capable of authenticating treasures, he is also kind. I am going to idolize him. From today onward, I will only respect one person, and that is Master Mo Yang. Hearing his words, everyone feels a resurgence of respect for him. Look at how compassionate he is. Despite possessing the ability to appraise treasures, he doesn't use it to earn great wealth. Instead, fearing that other people would suffer from making a wrong judgment, he is willing to expend the additional effort to appraise for him. One probably can't find another person as kind as him, even if one were to roam the world with a lantern. He didn't expect him to be so shameless to declare these words in such a righteous tone. Zhang Xuan shakes his head, but just as he is about to speak, the other party interrupts him once more. All right, I know what you are thinking. Say no more. The elder looks at him calmly with pride reflecting in his eyes. You know my thoughts? Zhang Xuan asks doubtfully. Indeed. You must be thinking that you are too young and do not possess sufficient strength. Even if you successfully obtain a treasure, you don't have the strength to guard it. Instead, you might even attract disaster to yourself. Master Mo Yang says in a know-it-all tone with his hands behind his back. So that's the reason. Not only is the master incredible at appraising treasures, to think that he would have the capability of peering into the thoughts of others as well. It is true that owning a treasure beyond one's ability can attract disaster. It is normal that this lad would have such thoughts. After hearing Master Mo Yang's explanation, the crowd comes to a realization. They finally understand why Zhang Xuan would reject such a wonderful opportunity. Zhang Xuan has no idea how he should respond. This fellow is way too narcissistic. Don't have the strength to guard it. To think that you could think of such a thing. Everyone. Just as Zhang Xuan is about to clarify the situation, the master, before him, glances at the surroundings and proudly declares, I have chosen this little fellow. So, regardless of what kind of treasures I have picked for him, I hope that you all wouldn't have any greedy thoughts towards it. Otherwise, you will be going against me. If so, don't blame me for being merciless. Master, what are you talking about? How would we dare to lay our hands on a person you have chosen? Master, rest assured. We would definitely not do such a stuff. Everyone quickly replies in chorus. Alright, since I have already informed everyone else, feel free to buy it. You don't need to worry about attracting unwanted trouble. Master Mo Yang looks at Zhang Xuan with an encouraging smile. Zhang Xuan doesn't expect that this fellow would be so self-assuming. Just when he is about to speak, the other party interrupts him yet again. You don't need to feel too touched by it. Since I have given the final slot to you, it means that our meeting is fated. It is hard to explain a thing such as fate through rational explanations, so you don't have to feel too thankful to me. I don't wish for anything in return for picking out a treasure for you, it is just purely kindness of my part. That. No need for this and that. This treasure is it. I can guarantee you that once you buy it, you will definitely rake in great profits. Master Mo Yang doesn't even give Zhang Xuan an opportunity to talk. He retrieves an item from the pile of artifacts and passes it over. Earn. Seeing this treasure, Zhang Xuan is speechless. He had already analyzed it previously. It is a trash that cannot be more useless. It isn't even worth a single gold coin. Your loss will be equivalent to the price that you buy it at. Boss, can you collect the bill from this little friend here? Passing the treasure over, Master Mo Yang gestures for the artifact dealer to come. A total of 30,000 gold coins. The dealer walks over. Hurry up and foot the bill, this is the most valuable treasure I have appraised tonight. Little friend, you have struck it rich. Seeing how Zhang Xuan remains motionless, the elder strokes his beard and a doting smile appears on his face. After you return, clean up the outer layer. Try not to be too agitated by your newfound wealth. Agitated? Agitated your head. Upon having his words interrupted multiple times, Zhang Xuan can no longer rein his temper in. If you want to scam others, go ahead, I won't interfere in your affairs. Why did you have to look for me? Is it that enjoyable to be trying to act cool? Didn't you notice how hard I have tried to spare your pride? Chapter 44, I will choose one. Translator, Staff Cleric Editor, Third Pole and Tortex. What? That little fellow dares to say that of Master Mo Yang. Master helped him pick out a treasure out of goodwill, and yet he claims that the master is trying to deceive him. What an arrogant lad. Hearing Zhang Xuan's words, the crowd is dumbfounded for an instant before bursting into commotion. Is that lad's head all right? The master went through so much difficulty to help him choose a treasure, and yet he says that. Fraud, acting cool? What did you say? Apparently, he didn't expect the young man to respond in such a manner. Master Mo Yang's face darkens. Little friend, do you have some kind of misunderstanding against me? Misunderstanding? You should be more than aware of what I am saying. If you want to scam someone, go ahead. It's none of my business, and I am not interested in interfering in your affairs as well. I choose my own artifacts while you scam your victims, let's stay out of each other's path. So, stop putting on that haughty look of yours in front of me. Zhang Xuan waves him away, annoyed. He had never bore any goodwill towards scammers. Even so, as long as the other party doesn't get on his nerves, he is willing to let the issue slide. Yet, this fellow intends to make use of him to act cool, he is truly courting his death. What audacity! Master Mo Yang's face pales and he flings his sleeves, his actions carrying an aura of righteousness with it. I have attained the qualifications of an appraiser 30 years ago, and I have helped numerous people out of difficulty. My conscience is clear. There has never been a single person who had accused me of scamming them. Everyone here can bear testimony to that. When had I ever scammed any one of you? Master Mo Yang is compassionate and saves those who are in precarious situations. How could he possibly be a fraudster? That falsifying youngster over there, you must be tired of living. Master, don't get angry. I will teach that fellow a lesson in your place so that he will learn to not to spout lies in the future. With just a few words, Master Mo Yang manages to stir up the rage of everyone here. Every single of them looks at Zhang Xuan as though he had murdered their family. Attained the qualifications of an appraiser 30 years ago? Conscience is clear. Zhang Xuan is speechless. You are just a small apprentice appraiser, must you try so hard to act as though you are bigger than that? Your skin is much thicker than I thought. No wonder you are able to become scammer wanted by the Liuzhu kingdom. Not only is your skin unbelievably thick, your ability to adapt to abrupt changes is truly frightening. Other scammers will panic when they are exposed before others. Yet, this fellow skillfully reverses the tip of the arrow back towards him, making it hard for him to step down from the current situation. If Zhang Xuan doesn't possess the library of heaven's path, upon seeing how righteously the other party is acting, he would have surely suspected that he might be making a mistake. However, with the library in his hands, since it is stated on it that he is a scammer, then he is definitely one. Everyone, calm down. Seeing that everyone's anger is stirred and that he is on the offense now, Master Mo Yang waves his hands and says, I am a forgiving person. If you can apologize for the words you said a moment ago, I can choose to not pursue the matter. Otherwise, you should be well aware of the punishment awaiting you for intentionally slandering me. Punishment? Zhang Xuan shakes his head. It isn't that hard to verify whether you are a scammer or not and whether I am lying or not. As long as they clean the outer coating off the artifacts they just bought, we will know the results instantly. What is the use of speaking so much nonsense here? Clean it. Master Mo Yang seems to have predicted that he would say such words. He replies calmly, I have already said previously that I will be leaving Tiangshuan city by tonight. The artifacts that I have chosen for them are all large in size and will require at least half a day before their true form emerges. I still have urgent matters to attend to, and I cannot delay my departure for that long a time. Why, are you going to say that the reason why I am unwilling to stay here any longer is because I feel guilty so that you can make use of this to accuse me? At this point, the elderly swings his arms and exudes a haughty disposition. I, Mo Yang, lived an upright life, so there's no reason for me to fear your accusations. However, I had helped you pick out an artifact out of goodwill on my part, only to have you accuse me of scamming you. Since you don't have concrete proof, it is an act of slander. Do you know the consequences of slandering a master appraiser? Hearing these words, Zhang Xuan realizes that he is still underestimating the shamelessness of the other party. As expected of a professional scammer, to have already thought of a plan to back away if the situation were to turn awry. He had already clearly expressed that he will be leaving Tiangshuan Kingdom tonight, thus paving an escape path beforehand. Before Zhang Xuan could even speak, he was already counterattacked. Right now, even if he were to say that he is afraid of waiting until the artifacts are cleaned thoroughly, no one will believe his words. Furthermore, Zhang Xuan really doesn't have any evidence to prove that he is a scammer. The secret on the Library of Heaven's path cannot be revealed. Even if it is revealed, there must be at least someone here who is willing to believe him. Lad, kneel down and apologize to the master now. Do dare to say that the master is a scammer. Do you think that I dare not to kill you right now? Where did this audacious beast come from, to dare to lay doubt upon the master's innocence? Upon seeing how righteous and indignant the master is, many people choose to believe in him instantly, and the lot of them start to chastise Zhang Xuan. These people are completely furious. Those who were scammed had self-hypnotized themselves due to their reluctance to accept the claim that they have been scammed. No matter who it is, if someone dares to interrupt their beautiful dream, they will be refuted adamantly and rebuked. From their viewpoint, Master Mo Yang is an upright person, so how can he possibly be a scammer? What kind of joke is this? Since this fellow dares to claim that the master is a scammer, he should be skilled in appraising, right? If you are that capable, why don't you choose one artifact out for us to see? If the one you chose turns out to be trash, you shall stop putting on an act here and scram. A voice from the crowd snorts. Indeed. Since you said that I am a scammer, and you are unwilling to accept the artifact I chose out for you, I'm sure you must be knowledgeable in appraising as well. At this point, Master Mo Yang nods his head and looks over. How about this? I will give you a chance. We will each choose a simple and small artifact together so that we can clean it quickly for appraisal. As long as you are able to profit out of the object you chose, I will acknowledge that you are skilled and I will let the issue drop. But if you choose a useless trash, then I'm sorry, but you will have to buy the treasure I just picked out for you, kneel down and apologize to me. You want to compete with me in a battle of appraisal? Just a moment ago, Zhang Xuan was still in a dilemma on coming up with evidence against him. However, hearing his words, he is slightly taken aback and he almost laughs on the spot. This fellow must have a screw loose. Zhang Xuan himself possesses the Library of Heaven's path. If he were to claim that he is second in appraising, no one would dare to claim that they are first in the world. Are you sure that your head didn't get jammed between doors? However, after giving it some careful thought, he is also able to comprehend the rationale behind the other party's action. In the other party's perspective, Zhang Xuan is only an 18 or 19-year-old youth, so what can he possibly know about appraising? Besides, since he was able to help others profit a few days ago, he must have prepared several means beforehand. If the both of them appraise concurrently and Zhang Xuan was to choose a useless artifact, he is able to make use of this opportunity to further build up his prestige. Perhaps, he might even be able to attract a few fools to invest frenziedly. Why? You don't dare to accept the challenge? Master Mo Yang is resolute to eat Zhang Xuan whole. Fine. Since the other party is seeking some thrill, how can Zhang Xuan bear to refuse him? Alright, then I'll go first. Master Mo Yang flings his robe and walks along the long elevated platform with large strides. He quickly stops before a palm-sized artifact and picks it up. This object is covered by a thick layer of rock, such that even the shape of the object inside cannot be ascertained, needless to say, to determine whether it is valuable or not. Dealer, how much does this cost? Picking up the object, Master Mo Yang inquires. This object is small in size and there isn't much spirit energy movement that can be felt from it. 200 gold coins. The dealer replies and he walks over to Master Mo Yang. Alright, find someone to help me clean this up. Passing over the money, Master Mo Yang says calmly. Yes. The dealer grabs hold of the treasure and sends it to the hall at the back. A moment later, he comes out with a golden toad in his hands. With an excited look, he says, Congratulations, Master. It is the shed skin of Spirit Horned Golden Toad. All new chapters in nvlbin.com. What is a Spirit Horned Golden Toad? Spirit Horned Golden Toad is a tier 6 savage beast. Of its entire body, its most valuable part is its skin. It only molts once in its entire life. This object can be used in medicine and it is extremely valuable. As expected of Master Mo Yang, to be able to pick out a treasure amidst everything else. Your ability of discernment is incredible. Upon hearing that it is the shed skin of the spirit-horned golden toad, the hall bursts into commotion. Many people may not know of this item, so why don't you just state a price? It will be much more spectacular that way. With his head up high, Master Mo Yang constantly exudes an acting cool aura as he speaks flatly. This object is worth 2,000 gold coins. The dealer exclaims. 2,000 gold coins? After buying it with 200 gold coins, the price grows to 2,000 gold coin in an instant? A revenue of tenfold? This is too incredible. As expected of the master. If you can profit so much through a small object, then surely I will be able to make a killing over that giant artifact you chose for me previously. Upon seeing this side, the eyes of the slightly worried crowd starts burning fanatically again. A master isn't just for show, a clear difference in standards shows the moment he makes a move. Alright, it's your turn. Master Mo Yang gestures with a cold gaze. Zhang Xuan nods his head. Knowing that the other party is a scammer, he is aware that he would surely have a contingency plan. Even so, he didn't expect his contingency plan to be so incredible. He has to choose something at least of the same level as him. Can I choose the artifact first and decide on a price after the artifact has been cleaned? Stepping forward, Zhang Xuan suddenly recalls something and looks at the dealer. No way. You have to pay first before cleaning it. This is a part of the rules. Otherwise, what if it turns out to be a trash after you clean it and you no longer want it, or if it turns out too valuable and we no longer want to sell it? It would be impossible to resolve such situations. The dealer states coldly. In order to prevent such contention, one has to pay upon after deciding on an artifact in treasure speculation. This is equivalent to signing a contract, no one will be able to turn their back on it. Alright then. After being informed of the rules, Zhang Xuan can only nod his head. Then, turning over to look at the artifacts, he says without blushing, Come, point out for me which artifacts are worth less than 8 gold coins in this pile. I will choose one from them. Chapter 45, Tip. Translator, Staff Cleric Editor, Thud Pole and Tortex. Boo! What did he just say? Surely I heard wrongly? 8 gold coins and below? Sound of water spitting. Hearing Zhang Xuan's proud voice, everyone spits a mouthful of saliva. All of them stare at him flabbergasted, with an expression similar to how one looks at a lunatic. Are you for real? In treasure speculation, one is gambling for the thrill and the fortune. No matter what artifact one chooses, it is worth a minimum of 100 gold coins. 8 gold coins. What the heck do you expect to buy with that? Is this fellow's brain still functioning? 8 gold coins? Vaha, you might as well grab a pile of mud and return now. You still dare to say 8 gold coins and below. There isn't a single object that is that cheap here, okay. A split moment later, tears stream down the faces of those amidst the crowd due to excessive laughter. The hell, lad, can you stop being so hilarious? How do you intend to find an object worth below 8 gold coins here? You can't even buy anything even if you had 80 gold coins. Why? You don't even have an artifact that is worth 8 gold coin in a treasure speculation hall? Aren't you embarrassed? Disregarding the mockery the crowd is making out of him, Zhang Xuan stares at the dealer proudly. His previous self had only left him with a total of 8 gold coins. He is unable to fork out a single coin more even if he wanted to. Boo! The people in the crowd stare at one another and burst into laughter once again. You are the one who should be embarrassed. This is just like someone running to a realtor and hoping to buy a flat with a single gold coin. Big brother, is your head really alright? There is no way there is an artifact here that is worth only 8 gold coins. How about this, you can freely choose from this pile of items. After you are done, I will pay for you. If you make an earning, it will all go to you. If you lose, we will just go by what we promised earlier, an apology will do. Master Mo Yang stares at the young man contemptuously with both of his hands placed behind him, revealing an attitude of superiority. As expected of Master Mo Yang, what incredible generosity. This young man is a clown, coming here just to make a fool of himself. I concede to the master's morals. Hearing that the master is willing to pay in the stead of his adversary, the crowd can't help but feel impressed by his generosity. Do you see that? Look at how the master carries himself, then look at that lad. Forget it, it is better not to compare the two of them. I am afraid that I might vomit. Are you sure? Zhang Xuan's eyes twinkle. Knowing that the other party is a scammer, Zhang Xuan doesn't feel any guilt spending his money. Of course, I always mean what I say. Master Mo Yang seems just like a saint who has descended to the mortal world, unsullied by worldly dirt. Hey, I shall start picking then. Zhang Xuan smiles faintly, walks over to the platform and scans through the artifacts in the pile. Since the other party chose a small one, naturally, he is restricted to choosing smaller items as well. Besides, the larger the artifact, the longer it takes to clean it up. This lad is too shameless. Indeed. I have no idea why would Master Mo Yang treat him so well. If I were to meet such a fellow, I would have surely smacked him away with a palm of mine long ago. To insult the master and even use his money to buy an artifact. Shameless. Seeing how the young man isn't ashamed at all, rather, he is browsing through the items excitedly, the crowd is speechless. They have met thick-skinned people before, but they had never met one whose skin is that thick. You were the one who insulted the master as a scammer first. No matter what, the both of you should be in a hostile relationship. Under such circumstances, don't you feel embarrassed using the other party's money to buy an artifact to compete with him? That's enough of you. Ignoring the discussions of the crowd, Zhang Xuan touches every treasure that enters his vision. Soon, he also chooses a treasure of the size of a palm and hands it over. It costs 200 gold coins as well. The dealer takes a look at it and says flatly, "Master, hurry up and foot the bill." Unashamed, Zhang Xuan gestures the master to hurry up. A dark line streaks across Master Mo Yang's face. He intended to ridicule the other party, but he didn't expect that he would accept his help so proudly, to the point that he seems like his servant instead now. Suppressing the urge to strangle the other party, he pays the sum. All right, let's clean it up here. With everyone watching here, no one will be able to accuse me of falsifying the results. Zhang Xuan gestures. HMPH, let's see whether you can continue being so haughty after the object is cleaned up. The actions of the young man also infuriate the dealer. He casually fetches the tools used for cleaning artifacts and starts to clean it bit by bit. Soon, the moss and rock covering the object fall off and the true form of the item inside is revealed. It is a semi-transparent rock that emits a warm glow. This is Linglong stone. Observing the appearance of the stone, someone from the crowd shouts in disbelief. What is Linglong stone? Some in the crowd recognizes it while others don't. You don't even know this? Linglong stone is one of the main ingredients to crafting a phantom tier equipment. Every single stone is extremely valuable, and it is the type of good which is always short in supply. The person who spoke earlier explains in agitation. Equipment can be split into god, saint, spirit, phantom and mortal. In a location like Tianshuan Kingdom, there is almost no mortal pinnacle equipment, needless to say, phantom tier equipment. Thus, every single one of it can be sold at an exorbitant price. As the main ingredient to crafting phantom tier equipment, the moment it is put up for auction, countless families and experts will go frenzied over it. How much can it be sold for? Those who don't recognize this item can't help but ask. It is difficult to perceive an item's value just by its rarity itself. The best way to ascertain its value is still through its price. I've heard that the Liuzhu Kingdom had auctioned one of it a few years ago. It was smaller than this, around the size of a chicken's egg, but it was already priced at 50,000 gold coins. Look at how big this one is, not to mention its level of purity. No matter what, it is worth at least 1,000,000. The one speaking swallows his saliva at this point. 1 lakh. Everyone on the spot almost goes mad. An object bought for 200 gold coin is sold for 1,000,000. A revenue of 500 times in an instant. Is this for real? This. The dealer's hands tremble as he stares in disbelief at the object in his hands. As a dealer of a treasure speculation hall, he is capable of identifying plenty of treasures and is aware of their prices. He knows that there isn't a single error in the words of the person who just spoke. This item is definitely worth that price. Impossible. I must be seeing things. Seeing the shock washing through the crowd, Master Mo Yang's face twitches. He thought that the other party would be unable to choose anything of value and that he would be able to make use of it to display his superiority once more. Never in his dreams did he expect for such an incredible treasure to be chosen. Both the items are priced at 200 gold coins, yet his was only sold for 2,000 whereas the other party's one is valued at 100,000. Isn't the difference too massive? Discover W's stories on noe.lbin.com. I will be auctioning this Linglong stone now, the highest bidder wins. Aware of what this object is beforehand, Zhang Xuan isn't surprised in the least. He grabs the treasure from the hands of the dealer and gazes at the crowd. I offer 100,000. The one who recognized the Linglong stone earlier shouts his bid first. 100,000 gold coin may be a huge sum, but compared to a treasure like Linglong stone, the latter is much more valuable. I offer 110,000. There are a few within the crowd that are aware of its value as well. 1,20,000. Soon, the price is finalized at 153,000, and the stone is taken by a wealthy middle-aged man. This is a banknote from Zhang Xuan Bank. With this, you are able to withdraw 153,000 gold coins from any single bank in Zhang Xuan City. The middle-aged man grabs the Linglong stone and passes over a stack of banknotes. The weight of gold coins is considerable, so moving them around isn't very convenient. Thus, just like in the ancient times of Earth, banknotes and similar paper notes started appearing. After taking a look, he knows that those notes are real and places it into his embrace. Then, he retrieves a banknote worth 1,000 and walks over to Master Mo Yang. You paid 200 gold coins for me earlier. Here is 1,000, keep the change. Treat it as a tip. Chapter 46, Exposing the Scam. Tip. Hearing these words, Master Mo Yang staggers and almost pukes blood. Tip your head. I am a master appraiser, I don't lack money. Like I will take your tip. With a hardened face, Master Mo Yang is on the verge of exploding. At this point, he will be placed in an awkward situation regardless of whether he takes it or not. If he takes it, it means he would be accepting the tip of others' tip. In that case, he would be no different from a waiter or a servant. If he refuses, just the action of the other party alone causes him to feel embarrassed. Suddenly, a thought floats into his mind. Could the lad have foreseen this in advance? That's why he took his money so as to intentionally cause him embarrassment? You don't want it? Great, I can save 1,000 then. You must know that one can buy a lot of things with 1,000 gold coins. Sensing his hesitation, Zhang Xuan places the note back into his embrace and mutters by the side. Hearing these words, Master Mo Yang is on the verge of collapsing. You sure are lucky, choosing the right one. However, this doesn't mean that you has won. Alright, I still have things to attend to, so it is about time for me to leave. With coldness in his gaze, Master Mo Yang stands up, flings his arm and prepares to leave. His decisive action impresses Zhang Xuan. As expected of a professional scammer. The moment things go awry, he leaves. His decisiveness is truly worthy of respect. Regardless of whether Zhang Xuan is lucky or he is truly skilled in appraising, he would no longer be treated as a lunatic after earning so much in an instant. Rather than grinding it out with him, it is much wiser for him to end it here. After all, he has already profited greatly from appraising for the others. The longer the argument carries on for, the higher the possibility of something going wrong for him. The results of our competition isn't conclusive yet, why are you in such a hurry to leave? Given Master Mo Yang's previous actions, there is no way Zhang Xuan can allow him to escape just like this. Indeed, Master, don't be in such a hurry to leave. You also made a profit from the item you bought, this can't be considered as his victory. Master has only underestimated his enemy, that's why he didn't choose the most valuable treasure from the start. We believe in you. After numerous days of effort, the Master has roped in a large group of loyal followers. I have already said before that I have matters to attend to. Farewell. Master Mo Yang waves his hand. Even if you have urgent matters to attend to, I doubt that a few minutes will matter much. There are still things that I would like your guidance on. Zhang Xuan blocks the other party's escape path. What kind of things? Master Mo Yang stops and harangues coldly. This friend. Seeing him seize his movements, Zhang Xuan smiles faintly and stares at the elderly who had obtained the slot for appraisal and bought the ornamental vase. What is it? The elderly walks over. He is still hugging the artifact containing the ornamental vase as though he is hugging a precious treasure. Given its size, he will be unable to clean it up within a short period of time. Thus, he chose to stay to join in the spectacle. If I'm not wrong, the item you spent 80,000 gold coins to purchase is an ornamental vase. Furthermore, it is a broken one and it is not even worth a single gold coin. Zhang Xuan points to his artifact and states. Ornamental vase? Not even worth a single cent? What kind of joke is this? This is something the master chose for me. The face of the elderly darkens as he chastises Zhang Xuan. Cleaning up such a large artifact will take a long time. At the minimum, you will require at least a day. How about this, you smash it on the floor directly and if I'm wrong, I will pay you 80,000 gold coins. However, if I'm right, it means that you have fallen into his trap and got scammed. If so, you can just demand the money back from the one who scammed your money. Zhang Xuan offers with a grin. Smash it. The elderly is taken aback by his words. The words of the other party make sense. Cleaning up such a large artifact will surely take a lot of time. However, if he were to smash it on the floor, it would only take an instant. If it was truly as the other party claims and it turns out to be just an ornamental vase, then he would have made a big loss. Even for him, a loss of 80,000 gold coins is enough to send him into bankruptcy. If the artifact turns out to be a fake, he will probably commit suicide. If the young man were to say these words a moment ago, he would simply scoff and disregard his words. However, the other party has just bought a treasure which won him a revenue of 765 times. This very fact makes his determination wavers. Worry not, a true treasure won't shatter that easily. Even if you were to smash it, it is very unlikely for it to break. You won't make a loss. Sensing his hesitation, Zhang Xuan pushes on. All right. After a short moment of contemplation, the elderly casually smashes the artifact in his embrace on the floor. Dung lang. With a crisp sound, the giant artifact shatters apart, and its true form reveals itself amidst the moss and mud. Indeed, it turns out to be a shattered vase. It is really an ornamental vase. After taking a look, the crowd verifies that it is indubitably an ornamental vase. Even if this object is an antique left behind from the ancient times, it still isn't worth much money. Needless to say 80,000 gold coin, no one would buy it for even 10 gold coins. What is going on here? Seeing the broken fragments on the floor, the elderly freezes in shock. Initially, he had placed all of his hope on this artifact to earn him big bucks, yet it all ended up like this. How can he possibly not go berserk? What is happening? You will have to ask this Master Mo Yang. If I'm not wrong, he worked together with the dealer to build his fame as an appraiser so as to attract everyone's attention. Then, through his appraisals, he is able to get you all to spend big bucks to buy the artifacts he decides upon, thus profiting from it. Zhang Xuan looks at Master Mo Yang and the dealer, and the corners of his mouth creep upwards. As for why he was able to choose objects of high value, the reason is simple. Since the cleaning process did not happen before you, they are able to switch the item inside with another treasure they prepared beforehand and claim that it is the one he had just picked out. Anyway, no one saw the cleaning process, so no one is able to refute his claims. Is that true? Hearing Zhang Xuan's words, everyone's trust in Master Mo Yang wavers. After picking out a treasure before everyone else, Zhang Xuan successfully exposes a fake treasure that Master Mo Yang appraised. The crowd who had complete trust in Master Mo Yang a moment ago is starting to get suspicious. Dung lang. While they are still busy contemplating over who is right and who is wrong, another crisp sound echoes amidst the crowd. Another fellow who had received the appraisal slot smashed the artifact he bought as well. This time, it isn't an ornamental vase but a useless pottery. It is clear with a single look that it isn't worth much. Fake, it is a fake. I spent 60,000 gold coins to buy this. They are scammers. Seeing the broken shards on the floor, those who bought the appraised items know that they have been scammed as well and started roaring frenziedly. Peng. Hong. Puhe. With the two precedents, the remaining few can no longer hold it in. One after another, towards the artifacts they just bought, they throw, smash with a hammer or cut it open with a blade. Taking a look at what is inside, all of their faces pale. They are all fakes. They are all worthless trash. We have been duped. This Master Mo Yang is a fraud. If there was only one fake, the crowd would still be able to accept it. After all, even an appraiser can't possibly pick treasures out of artifacts 100% of the time. However, when all 9 of the artifacts that he had appraised turn out to be trash, it can only mean to say that he is a scammer. To think that you still acted so compassionate and benevolent. You are just a fraudster. The berserk crowd surrounds Master Mo Yang and the dealer tightly as they stare at them intensely. At this moment, even the thought of killing them flashes through their minds. After all, no one's money came from the sky. If no one saw through the charm, and they only realized that it is a scam after they are done cleaning, who can they find to redress their grievances? Don't listen to the nonsense of this lad. Even master appraisers have moments when they are off. I am truly unacquainted with this artifact dealer. Seeing the murderous glare in the eyes of the crowd, Master Mo Yang realizes that it is no longer possible to fool them and roars in anger instead. If it was a moment ago, the crowd would have definitely listened to his words. But now, no one pays him any heed anymore. Peng 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 peng. The sound of someone hitting on a human sandbag echoes from the congregation of the crowd. Following which, cries of agony can be heard. In this ordeal, not even the artifact dealer is spared. As for the initiator of the incident, Zhang Xuan, he had sneaked off the moment chaos broke out inside. The world is humongous, and every day, there are people who are going about scamming others, and there are people who are scammed by them. He isn't an omnipotent god, and it is impossible for him to interfere in all of them. If it wasn't for Master Mo Yang's excessive mouth, he couldn't be bothered to exposing him. Now that those who were scammed are aware of the situation, naturally, they have their own way of dealing with the problem. There is no need for Zhang Xuan to worry about them. Huang Baiyu Bookstore. Walking slowly along the market, a giant store appears before him. In it, there are all kinds of books filling the bookshelves within. The store deals with medicinal herbs, weapons, savage beasts and naturally, books. That is also his main motive for choosing to enter this store. Visit novelbin.com for updates. Let me take a look. Zhang Xuan lifts his leg and steps into the store. Chapter 47, Huang Baiyu. Gongzi, are you here to buy books or to browse through books? Gongzi, gentleman. The moment he steps into the bookstore, a young lady steps forward to welcome him. Around 17 to 18-year-old, her pure face and appearance are particularly alluring. Even though she is still slightly lacking compared to Shen Bairu Laoshi, she is considered as an exceptional beauty. Is there secret manuals on Fighter 6 Dan cultivation technique here? Zhang Xuan reveals his objective here to her. Fighter 6 Dan cultivation technique? Gongzi must be joking. Such secret manuals on cultivation technique cost a hefty sum. A little business like ours doesn't have the qualifications to be selling them. If you want some entrance level cultivation technique manuals, we have a few of it here though. The lady shakes her head. The books sold in their store mainly consists of human geography, biographies of reputable figures and such. Cultivation techniques are something highly confidential to cultivators, so how can it be allowed to be browsed through or sold freely? Then, do you know any stores that sell them? Confirming his suspects that the manuals aren't on sale here, Zhang Xuan sighs and looks at her in expectation. Sell them. The lady shakes her head. It is impossible for anyone in Tianshuan Royal City to be selling cultivation techniques of this level. However, some experts do collect quite a few of them. If you have an amicable relationship with them, it might be possible for them to allow you to look through them. Allow me to look through them? Taking a look is great as well. Zhang Xuan's eyes light up. With the Library of Heaven's Path, there is no need for him to buy the books. As long as he is able to lay his hand on those books, just by flipping through it, a corresponding book will be compiled automatically. Do you know any seniors who collect such manuals in their residence, and allow others to browse through them? He can't resist asking. Allow others to browse through them. The lady frowns and just as she is about to shake her head, she suddenly thought of something and slyness flits across her eyes. She smiles and says, I do know of one. However, he is known for being eccentric. When he is in high spirits, he won't mind even if you were to take all of the books in his house. But if he is in a bad mood, ignoring the fact whether he will allow you to browse through his books or not, he might not even allow you to walk through his door. Such a person exists in the world? Zhang Xuan frowns. He continues, then, may I trouble you to guide me to seek that senior? It just happens that there isn't much business today. I will bring you there now. The young lady smiles. Thanks for the trouble. He doesn't expect the lady to be so helpful as to bring him there personally, so he nods his head in gratitude. With the lady leading ahead, the two of them walk out of the bookstore. Through their idle chatter, Zhang Xuan learns that the name of the lady is Huang Baiyu. This bookstore is opened by her. Judging from the appearance of the bookstore, it seems to be newly open, at maximum around 10 days or so. You are saying that there are many books in the home of that senior? After walking a distance, Zhang Xuan can't resist asking. Naturally. That senior is a famous scholar in the entire kingdom, and he was once Emperor Shen Chui's tutor. He is a person who is able to freely go in and out of the kingdom's book collection vault. Do you think that it is possible for the books in his home to not be many? Huang Baiyu says reverently. Emperor Shenjui's teacher? That means he used to be an emperor's tutor? Zhang Xuan is stunned. The current emperor of Tianshuan kingdom is named Shenjui. No one is aware of the specific level of his cultivation, they only know that he is the strongest person in the entire kingdom, unmatched by anyone. The tutors of such a figure are carefully handpicked and have to undergo numerous selection processes before their positions are confirmed. Even the principal of Hongshan Academy doesn't possess such qualifications. He is his painting and calligraphy teacher, and not his martial arts teacher. Even so, he is still an incredible figure who is deeply respected by the emperor. At this point, Huang Weiyu's face turns solemn as she warns Zhang Xuan, this old Mr. Lu Chen is an elegant person who is very particular about decorum. He detests juniors talking nonsense before him. When we arrive, it is best for you to not to speak too easily. Otherwise, it will be impossible for you to be given permission to browse through his books. N. Zhang Xuan nods his head. Also, I also have my own matters to attend to. When we arrive, you will have to deal with the matter of borrowing books yourself, don't mess up my matter along with yours. Huang Weiyu glances over with her beautiful eyes as she speaks. Don't worry, I won't put you in a difficult position. Comprehending the meaning behind her words, Zhang Xuan smiles in response. He is already grateful for the fact that she is willing to bring him over. If he is capable, he will be able to borrow the books. However, even if he ends up in failure, nothing can be done about it. No matter what, he is still a teacher. How can he put a young lady in an awkward position? The old Mr. prefers juniors who are more obedient. No matter what the old Mr. says, you just have to nod your head. You should also know that a great scholar like him tend to be more conservative, so his thoughts may diverge from that of us, youngsters. Just try not to squabble with him over these. Huang Weiyu reminds him once again. The two of them soon walks out of the market. After passing by a series of alleys that would leave one confused, they arrive at a residence. This is the residence of old Mr. Lu Chen. Huang Weiyu points towards the residence. Zhang Xuan raises his head to take a look at the entire residence. It isn't as vast and extravagant as he expected. It seems like the residence of an ordinary household, and there isn't even a door plaque at the entrance. If it weren't for Huang Weiyu leading him here, he might have thought that this is the residence of a normal civilian. This is the place where the emperor's tutor lives? Zhang Xuan finds it hard to believe. Old Mr. Lu Chen lives a thrifty life. There were many times when Emperor Shenjui offered to reconstruct his residence, but he firmly rejected the offers. Noticing his doubt, Huang Weiyu explains. Zhang Xuan nods his head as his respect for the emperor's tutor grows. Despite possessing such social status, he is able to remain incorruptible and thrifty without being changed by power. It seems like this old mister is a sentimental and straightforward person. Da. Just as they are about to knock on the door, a carriage rushes over. The distinct sound of the galloping of the horse echoes through the alley. Zia! The carriage stops beside the two. A young man parts the curtains of the carriage and walks out. He is a 17 to 18-year-old youth dressed in white. Tall and slim, his face is exquisite, similar to a white jade. With a single look, it is clear to see that he is Scion, and he exudes an aura of superiority. Xiao Weiyu? You are here too. Xiao Weiyu, little Weiyu, a pet name for Huang Weiyu. Seeing Huang Weiyu, the white-clothed Gongzi's eyes twinkle and immediately tries to fawn upon her. Gongzi, gentleman. I am Huang Weiyu, don't give me such a mushy nickname. We aren't that familiar with one another yet. Huang Weiyu curls her lips contemptuously. Given the relationship between our families, it isn't too much to call you Xiao Weiyu. Besides, wasn't that how I called you when you were younger as well? Are you here to visit old Mr. Lu Chen as well? The white-clothed Gongzi smiles and flings his robe. He strikes a pose, as though declaring that victory is in his hands. Hey, don't think too much about that object. It will definitely come under my possession. It is hard to tell whose it will be at this point. I only fear that you will cry then. Huang Weiyu doesn't step down to his taunting. We'll see then. The white-clothed Gongzi chuckles. At this point, he finally notices Zhang Xuan and frowns. Who is this? Xiao Weiyu, why did you bring an outsider here? No matter who is it that I bring, it is none of your business. Huang Weiyu purses her lips, not sparing the other party any face. UP Pitorati FRM no VE pound, I, N.C, O, M. HMPH, lad. No matter who you are, I advise you to stay away from Xiao Weiyu. She isn't someone a small figure like you can lay your hands upon. Looking at Zhang Xuan, the white-clothed Gongzi narrows his eyes and spits coldly. Zhang Xuan didn't expect to be threatened when he is here only to borrow a book. A strong feeling of helplessness surges through him. Using the words from his previous world, he is lucky like a dead mongoose. All Huang Baiyu did is to bring him here, they are just barely acquaintances. Do you really have to go that far? Threatened by someone, Zhang Xuan feels displeased. He stretches his back and waves away his concerns. You interfere too much. My apologies, but I don't think that you need to concern yourself over this. Fine, I hope that you don't regret your words. He didn't expect that a lad he had never met before would dare to speak to him in such a manner. The white-clothed Gongzi's eyebrows shoot up and his eyes narrow. Turning around, he ignores the other two and walks over to the front of the courtyard to knock on the door. Why are you so rash? As the white-clothed man knocks on the door, Huang Baiyu's anxious voice sounds by Zhang Xuan's ears. Why? Zhang Xuan looks at her in puzzlement. Do you know who he is, for you to dare to speak to him like that? Seeing the oblivious look on the other party's face, Huang Baiyu feels a little helpless. It is truly hard to tell whether this fellow has a strong heart or that there is something wrong with his head. Who cares who he is? Zhang Xuan shrugs. What does his identity have to do with me? You. Seeing the expression on the young man's face, Huang Baiyu is starting to doubt if she had brought a fool over. Seeing the indifferent look in his eyes, she is able to tell that he truly isn't bothered over the identity of the person he just offended. At a loss for words, she could only introduce the person before to him. He is the sole son of Chen Bang, Bai Xuan. Chen Bang is known as the #1 authoritative subject of Tianshan Kingdom, his position beneath only that of Emperor Shen Zhui. Offending his only son means that it will be hard for him to make a living in Tianshan Kingdom. Initially, she thought that revealing the identity of the other party will induce fear in this fellow and that he would ask her how he should resolve the problem. Contrary to her expectations, Zhang Xuan looks over with a confused expression. Chen Bang. Who is he? Chapter 48, What the heck is this toy? Huang Baiyu feels the vision before her spin and she almost faints on the spot. Do not even know Chen Bang? Dude, are you really from Tianshan Kingdom? Are you sure you didn't pop up from some remote corner? At this moment, she is starting to regret bringing this fellow here. Given how ignorant he is, it is likely he will say something wrong and pull her down along with him. Actually, Zhang Xuan really isn't putting on an act, he is truly ignorant on this matter. His previous self is the worst teacher in the academy. All along, he has been occupied with how he could stop himself from being expelled from the school. Thus, he never tried to look into the internal affairs of the kingdom and knows very little about it as well. The previous him doesn't even know what section, division and bureau are, so how could he possibly know who Chen Bang is? Zia? Just as she is about to explain the glorious war accomplishments of Chen Bang, the door in front of them creaks and opens. A butler-like person appears in their view, welcoming them. Uncle Cheng, I am prepared now. I hope to receive master's guidance again. Towards the butler he calls Uncle Cheng, the white-clothed Gongzi Bai Xuan speaks respectfully, the arrogance he had a moment ago absent in his voice. Gongzi, gentlemen. So it is Bai Gongzi and Huang Gunyang. Please follow me to wait at the lounge. Upon catching sight of the three standing at the entrance of the door, the butler bows and ushers them in. Gongzi, gentleman vertical Ba Gunyang, lady miss. The three of them follow behind him into the residence. Zhang Xuan gazes around the surroundings. The residence may not be extravagant in its renovations, inferior even when compared to certain parts of the academy, but it brings about a wholly different atmosphere. Every moment of stillness and every movement in the courtyard feels like a tranquil ink painting which exudes indescribable elegance. What an incredible natural ink painting! Zhang Xuan can't help praising. Oh! Gongzi seems to have some aptitude towards painting. Hearing his praise, the butler turns around and asks. It is just a casual comment. He didn't expect that a casual comment that he spoke would attract the attention of the butler. Zhang Xuan hurriedly shakes his head. In his previous life, he was a librarian, and his job is deeply related to literacy. Even though he had seen many different paintings back then, he had never picked up a brush, needless to say, paint. Our Laoye used his heart as his brush and the courtyard as his paper to turn the entire residence into a painting. You aren't mistaken in your words. The butler nods his head and continues moving forward. Laoye, old master. Soon, they arrive at the lounge. The lounge isn't very big but is rich in paintings, giving the room a kind of classical elegance. It has a soothing effect on those who step into it. It is unlike the other places, where strength-measuring rock pillars can be found everywhere, which makes one feel as though they would be thrown out if they display insufficient strength. I will be reporting to Laoye. After arranging the seats for the three of them, the butler turns around to leave. You know a thing or two about paintings? The moment the butler leaves, Huang Baiyu looks over curiously. She seems to have heard the conversation back there. Come to think about it, she doesn't know a single thing about the young man she brought here. I only felt that the arrangement in the courtyard is reminiscent of a painting. Zhang Xuan replies. Xiao, don't listen to his nonsense. This fellow is just putting on a show to attract your attention. Bai Xuan's glare is so intense that fire may emerge from it. What do you know? My friend here is extremely knowledgeable and talented. Do you think that everyone likes to act mighty the way you do? Hearing the other party insult the friend she brought, Huang Baiyu is displeased. Knowledgeable? Him. Xiao, you should be careful. I think this lad is just a useless playboy. Despite being young, he is skilled in the art of deceiving to win the favor of girls. He truly has no shame. Liu Luo, hearing the lady praise Zhang Xuan, Bai Xuan feels the rage in him boiling even more intensely and he grits his teeth furiously. My friend here is skilled in zither, chess, literature and painting, there is nothing he is incapable of, there is nothing he doesn't have expertise in. Not only is he outstanding in the younger generation, there aren't many of the older generation who can match up to him. On the contrary, look at yourself. You aren't skilled in anything, and your mind is only filled with fighting and killing all day long. You are the one that is useless. Huang Baiyu doesn't back down. Skilled in zither, chess, literature and painting? You mean him? He doesn't look much older than me. Even if he started learning in the womb, how much can he learn? You are probably the only one who will get scammed by him. Bai Xuan glares savagely at Zhang Xuan. Just because he is young means that he isn't skilled? What if he is talented? Don't doubt others just because you are untalented. Huang Baiyu retorts. Hearing their argument, the innocent Zhang Xuan who had arrows fired at him frowns. If you want to argue, just argue among yourselves. Why must you all rope me in? Did I offend any of you? Zither, chess, literature and painting, you said? I have never touched any of the four in my entire life. If I am talented, how can I possibly be the first teacher in history to score a 0 in the teacher qualification examination in Hongshan Academy? Just as Bai Xuan is about to counterattack with words of his own, footsteps sound from the outside and a figure walks in. It is an elderly man with snow-white hair and beard. He carries with him a unique aura which grants him a majestic disposition. The butler from before follows behind him. Emperor Shinjui's ex-tutor, Lu Chen. Paying respect to master. Upon seeing him, Bai Xuan and Huang Baiyu dare not bicker any longer and bow simultaneously. I heard that someone was able to tell that the arrangement of my courtyard is an ink painting. It is rare to see such a refined youngster nowadays. Ignoring the two who are paying respect to him, the moment the elderly man walks in, his eyes is fixated upon Zhang Xuan. It is apparent that the butler has informed him of Zhang Xuan's previous words. Master, this fellow is just spouting nonsense, there's no need to bother about him. I have already revised beforehand, so master, you can feel free to test me. Upon seeing the master's attention fixated on the lad, Bai Xuan feels displeased and hurriedly says. Did I allow you to talk? Master Lu Chen frowns. Bai Xuan's face turns completely red, but he dares not talk back to him. He might be of high standing, and his father is formidable as well. However, before the emperor's tutor, he still pales far in comparison. After reprimanding Bai Xuan, Master Lu Chen's attention returns back to Zhang Xuan. Since you are learned in painting, it just happens that I have a work here for you to appraise in my stead. After which, he gestures with his hand. The butler hurries forward and unfurls a painting scroll on the table. It is a simple and elegant ink painting. The moment it is unfurled, a refreshing aura assaults its viewers. In a peaceful village, children are frolicking around and smoke emerges from the chimneys. If one concentrates, it seems as though one can hear the call of the cicada and see the dance of the tree leaves. It is a painting of a scenery. This. Zhang Xuan scratches his head. He doesn't know a single thing about painting. All he can tell about this painting is that it isn't bad. Asking him to appraise? What is he supposed to appraise about it? Visit novelbian.cm for the latest updates. You must think carefully before you speak. This is a test by the master, he likes to test others. Anyway, when I first came, I was tested by him too. If you manage to speak well, you will be able to borrow as many books as you like. But if you were to screw this up, you will be sent back instantly. Just as he is hesitating, Huang Baiyu's agitated voice sounds beside him. Test. Zhang Xuan smiles bitterly. If only he knew that Master Lu Chen has such interests, he wouldn't have said anything when he walked into the courtyard. Is this considered as courting trouble? However, based on Huang Weiyu's words, it is likely that the other party will test him even if he says nothing. After all, this is a habit he has cultivated. He probably can't shake it off even if he wanted to. As for appraising it, what the heck is he supposed to appraise? He isn't even learned in that aspect. What problems can he see from it? What kind of comments should he be making? After all, the other party is the emperor's tutor, a master of painting. If he were to spout nonsense, he might be chased away with a stick even before he is done speaking. Why? Is there any problem? Upon seeing his expression, Master Lu Qian inquires. Nothing. Zhang Xuan scratches his head. Just as he is at a loss on how he should organize his sentences to come up with words that the other party is unable to find flaws with, a thought suddenly flashes through his mind. Since the Library of Heaven's Path is capable of authenticating items, then, is it possible for it to tell the flaws in paintings? At this point, he can't resist stepping forward to touch the painting lightly. Weng! A sound echo in his head and a book appears in his mind. Zhang Xuan is overjoyed. After reading the contents of it, he raises his head and gazes at Master Lu Qian with bright eyes. Smiling faintly, he asks, Master really wants me to appraise this? Master Lu Qian doesn't respond, indicating his silent consent. I have 8 words of evaluation on it. Zhang Xuan says. I am willing to listen to it. Master Lu Qian looks at Zhang Xuan. Zhang Xuan nods his head. His eyes scan through the painting once more and he shakes his head. The 8 words are. Downright senseless. What the heck is this toy? Gongxi, please mind your words. Initially, he was curious on the evaluation Zhang Xuan could give. Upon hearing these words, the butler almost faints on the spot. Flustered, he tries to stop him hurriedly. This is a painting that was just drawn by the master. Chapter 49, How did he do it? A painting left behind by the master. By the side, Huang Weiyu feels like she is going insane. She almost loses her balance and falls to the floor. In the past, Master Lu Qian had brought out paintings for them to appraise, as well as to test them. However, he had never brought out his own works. This time, why would he? If the fellow before her had praised the work the master took out, perhaps, the master will be delighted with his evaluation and let it pass. However, what did you say, downright senseless? What the heck is this toy? Is this something a human should say? To evaluate Master Lu Qian's drawing as downright senseless, what the heck is this toy? Huang Weiyu feels like vomiting blood. Didn't you say that you won't put me in a difficult position? This. What is going on? If she knew that Zhang Xuan had decided afterward that as a teacher, he shouldn't put her in an awkward situation, more blood will probably come spurting out from her mouth. Is this what you call not putting me in an awkward situation? You are obviously pushing me down the cliff. She is regretting her action of bringing this fellow here. Master Lu Qian favors youngsters who learn with humility. He never discriminates against people, and he likes people coming over to learn from him. This fellow seems scholarly on the surface, as well as a person who knows his boundaries, so she thought that he is the type to learn with humility. Thus, she brought him over so she could please the master. If things go well, she could make use of the opportunity to achieve her goals as well. Yet, she never would have expected that. He is so unreliable. Huang Weiyu feels her guts turn green with regret. If only she knew that this would happen, she would have rejected him on the spot. Why did she guide him over just to bring trouble on herself? While she is on the verge of going berserk, Bai Xuan is on the verge of laughing. Indeed, what is scary is not a godlike opponent, but a pig-like teammate. This fellow actually dares to describe Master Lu Qian's work as, what the heck is this toy? Needless to think, he must have offended the master thoroughly with his words. Even if he doesn't make a move, the master will probably teach this ignorant lad a lesson. Is this the knowledge and talent you speak of? Skilled in zither, chess, literature and painting? Chuckling softly, he gazes at Huang Weiyu teasingly. Huang Weiyu had just praised Zhang Xuan a moment ago, yet in the next, the latter spoke such words. Have you ever seen a knowledgeable and talented person act like this? Silence. In contrast to butler Uncle Cheng's anxiety, Huang Weiyu's regret and Bai Xuan's glee, Master Lu Qian doesn't get mad due to the other party's words. He interrupts the commotion going on and looks at Lu Qian calmly. This little brother over here, why would you make such an evaluation? Is there a problem with my drawing? I didn't know that it was master's work. I seek your forgiveness for my brashness. Zhang Xuan feigns shock and hurriedly bows apologetically. The book compiled by the Library of Heaven's Path allows him to look into the flaws of the painting, and the artist is also labeled in it. Naturally, he knows that the painting before him is Lu Qian's work, just that he is intentionally feigning ignorance. Don't worry about it. This is just a painting. I am only asking you to appraise the strengths and weaknesses of the painting, and not the painter of it. Master Lu Qian gestures. With your words, I am reassured. Zhang Xuan smiles. Facing the painting again, he strokes it and says, if we are just talking about this painting, even if it is drawn by the master, I can only use these 8 words to evaluate it. Downright senseless, what the heck is this toy? Huang Waiyu and the butler look calm on the surface, but panic on the inside. To say such words after knowing that this is a work of the master. Lad, are you insane? However. Zhang Xuan pauses for a moment. However what? This painting is indeed nothing much. Any artist by the street would be able to draw it. It is already an overestimation by calling it a toy. However, if one is able to see beyond its surface, then it is definitely an astonishing creation that will leave its viewers in disbelief. Zhang Xuan says. Look beyond the surface? How should we look? Master Lu Qian smiles gently. Simple. Zhang Xuan looks at the butler Uncle Cheng. May I trouble you to bring a dagger over? All right. After taking a look at Master Lu Qian and noticing the lack of disapproval, Uncle Cheng turns around and walks out. After a short moment, he returns with a dagger and passes it to Zhang Xuan. Find the news and ovals on nwelbin.com. Then, I will be making an embarrassment of myself. Grabbing the dagger, Zhang Xuan walks over to the painting and stabs the dagger into it. What are you doing? Seeing his actions, Bai Xuan steps forward. That is the master's work, every single painting of his is incomparably valuable that some even label them as priceless treasures. Are you sure you can compensate him if you damage it? Huang Waiyu also looks at his actions in bewilderment. Why would you need a dagger to appraise a painting? Ignoring Bai Xuan's rebuke, Zhang Xuan cuts the unblemished painting with the dagger. The sound of paper being cut echoes in the air. The portion of the drawing that was cut curls upwards. Tugging lightly on it, the top portion of the drawing separates from the bottom layer. This is similar to how there are different levels to a building. A layer of Xuan paper forms the top layer of the painting, whereas the bottom layer consists of goatskin. Xuan paper, a type of paper suitable for drawing. Voila! The tearing of the top Xuan paper exposes what is on top of the goatskin. There is also a painting on top of the goatskin, and it is similar to what was on the Xuan paper. However, there is more spirit to this one and the depictions are much more vivid. It is as though the mountainous rocks, trees, village and children would pop out from within at any moment. If I'm not wrong, the drawing on top of the Xuan paper is just a layer of deception. The true drawing is imprinted through the Xuan paper, onto the goatskin. This is the true secret behind the master's drawing. After tearing the Xuan paper carefully away, Zhang Xuan smiles. This. Regardless of whether it is Huang Waiyu, the butler or Bai Xuan, all of their eyes widen in disbelief. To imprint the ink beyond the Xuan paper onto the goatskin through force, not to mention that the drawing on top of the paper must retain a certain level of clarity such that no flaws can be seen on it. This is way too incredible. These two paintings are stacked on top of one another flawlessly. How was he able to tell? Not bad, not bad. Upon seeing the young man easily exposing the secret behind his painting, Master Lu Qian's eyes light up. This time, his gaze towards the youngster is full of praise. At the same time, he is also filled with shock. His ability to imprint on goatskin through a layer of paper via force is something he just comprehended. He had never showcased it in front of anyone else. Yet, this youngster is able to see through it in an instant. His eye of discernment is way too formidable. Then, what about this drawing? Master Lu Qian turns around and points to a painting hung on the wall. There is a giant savage beast painted on it. Similar to a savage tiger descending from the mountain, its ferocious aura leaves its viewers with astonishment. If a timid person were to catch sight of this painting, they might fall limply onto the ground, fearing to make a single noise. Zhang Xuan steps forward and strokes it lightly. Then, he smiles. This painting isn't bad, but it is lacking in disposition. If I am not wrong, the painter of the work has never seen the savage beast portrayed in the drawing before. This drawing is just based on his personal interpretation. This. Master Lu Qian's body trembles as his eyes widen into complete circles. Others might be confused by what Zhang Xuan is saying, but he understands what the other party means. That is because this painting is his work as well. The savage beast on the painting is known as Qiankun, and it is a rare life form. It is said to possess boundless strength and invincible defense, to the point that no weapon is able to wound it. Just like what the other party said, it is true that he has never met such a life form. The reason why he was able to draw this painting is because he had flipped through numerous books so as to feed his imagination. This painting is one of his prided works. This is also the reason why it is hung on the middlemost location of the lounge. Innumerable painting masters have come to visit and they are filled with praises for it. They all find the painting majestic and lifelike. Why would the youngster say that it is lacking in disposition? Since the other party is able to see through the overall situation behind the other painting in an instant, his eye for such stuff should be top-notch. Furthermore, he was able to tell that he had never seen a Qiankun just by glancing at the painting, so it is very probable that he has his own reasons for saying so. Which part of it is lacking in disposition? Would you be kind to enlighten me? At this point, Master Lu Qian no longer has the attitude of superiority from before as he hurriedly asks. Ah. Seeing the emperor's tutor who kept testing them, causing them to scratch their heads helplessly innumerable times, seeking guidance with humility from a young man who isn't even 20 yet, Huang Weiyu and Bai Xuan stare at one another and they feel like fainting. Especially Huang Weiyu, her eyes can't stop blinking. The shock strikes her mind like billowing waves. That fellow, how did he do it? Chapter 50, Pia. Translator, Staff Cleric Editor, Third Pole and Tortex. That's simple. Oblivious to the shock and the thoughts going through the minds of the others, Zhang Xuan smiles. Even though the Qiankun is known for its invincible defense, its body is streamlined like a sharp sword. It specializes in quick assaults and overcomes its opponents through speed rather than strength. From this, it can be inferred that its disposition should be that of a sharp sword rather than a heavy mountain. Given how the painter got the disposition of the savage beast wrong, it is clear to see that it is an interpretation. Master Lu Qian's body sways. It isn't that the other party is inaccurate in his appraisal, but he is too accurate in it. All along, he had thought that since the Qiankun is known for its invincible defense, its disposition should be heavy like a mountain. The reminder from the youngster makes him recall an introduction on the savage beast from a book. It mentions that it is extremely fast, killing its opponent without even revealing itself. This is precisely the reason why very few people have seen its true form. One of the greatest taboos of a painter is to mistake the disposition their painting should carry. If even the disposition is unfitting for the subject, then even the most valuable of paintings will be reduced to trash. Zhang Xuan is already sparing his pride by saying that the painting isn't bad, instead of saying something more extreme. Excellent. Incredible. With his face flushed red with excitement, Master Lu Qian expresses his high appraisal of Zhang Xuan. If it is just a single painting, it is possible that it might just be luck or coincidence. However, to see the cracks behind two different paintings in an instant, he can confidently say that the youngster before him might look young, but he is a true master painter. His skills can only be superior to his own. It is easy to make friends, but it is hard to find a soulmate. Throughout his career as a painter, he is unable to find an equal in the entire Tianshan kingdom. Usually, when he deciphers a painting to the others, they would only respond to it perfunctorily and instead, focus their efforts on praising him. No one was able to truly understand the essence of those paintings, needless to say, to point out the flaws in them. Friend kind of soulmate. This is precisely the reason why he feels desolate, and often opens up his residence to encourage diligent juniors in the hope that there will be someone to succeed him. At this moment, upon meeting someone who is able to point out the flaws and weaknesses of a painting, he feels as though he has met a soulmate. How can he not be delighted over it? If not for his strong will and self-control, he might have leaped in joy on the spot. Seeing the master so exuberant, Huang Weiyu and Bai Xuan no longer bicker and stare at one another. Their eyes widen into complete circles, almost popping out from their heads. They have been acquainted with this master since young. He is always calm, and no matter what comes in his way, he never allows it to interfere with his mind. The last time the emperor sent some servants to deliver the Harshland's night illumination pearl to him, a gift that is worth a king's ransom, he didn't even take a look at it before ordering a servant to keep it in the warehouse. Yet, a casual answer from the young man leaves him in such a state. Could it be that his words are true? At this point, the two of them shot their gazes towards the young man. However, no matter how they stare at him, he looks nothing but ordinary to them. Xia Weiyu, aren't you going to introduce this Gongxi to me? While she is still struck with bewilderment, Master Lu Qian's words echo in the room. Introduce? Upon being questioned, Huang Weiyu is taken back. Only now does she realize that she had not asked for the other party's name. Her face turns red and she scratches her head awkwardly as she turns towards Zhang Xuan and asks, right, what is your name? Hearing these words, Bai Xuan, who is sitting beside her, looks constipated. Just a moment ago, he was still overwhelmed by jealousy, thinking that someone has beaten him to his goddess, causing the urge to beat up this youngster to well up in him. Only now does he realize that Huang Waiyu doesn't even know his name. If only he knew earlier, he wouldn't have gotten so angry over nothing. However, his dilemma doesn't end here. Immediately after, he hears Master Lu Chain's angry voice. What do you mean by he? No decorum at all. This little brother here is a peer of mine, you will have to address him as a master in the future. Peer? This time, not only Huang Waiyu and Bai Xuan feel dizzy-headed, even the butler Uncle Cheng freezes in shock. The three of them stare at Zhang Xuan as though they are looking at a monster. What kind of standing does Master Lu Chain possess? Emperor Shen Jui's teacher, a true emperor's tutor. There isn't a single person in the entire kingdom who dares to claim to be his peer. If one were to do it, it would mean that one is claiming to be the senior of the country's emperor. For a person of such standing to view a youngster who isn't even 20 as a fellow peer of his? Surely I am hearing things? Didn't you all hear my words? Seeing the two of them in a daze, Lu Chain chastises them again. Yes. Bai Xuan and Huang Waiyu hurriedly bow. Paying respect to the master. There is no need to be so formal. Zhang Xuan didn't expect Lu Chain to be so polite. He nods his head helplessly and says, I am Zhang Xuan. I just happen to understand master's paintings out of coincidence. I am not fitting of the title of a master. So it is little brother Zhang Xuan. You can't put it like that, manners are manners. You are able to see through the flaws in my work with just a glance, this means that you are well versed in paintings, and you possess an exceptional eye for them. If you aren't worthy of the title of master with your standards, wouldn't that mean that I am unable to live up to my title as a master as well? Lu Chain says. Zhang Xuan laughs dryly. It is true that he is able to point the flaws in the paintings, but that isn't because of his abilities in that aspect. He only made use of the cheat called the Library of Heaven's Path. Without this, needless to say appraising it, he might be scratching his head with a confused expression, unable to even identify what is being drawn. Alright, stop being so polite. Feel free to reprimand these juniors when you meet them in the future. Unsure about what Zhang Xuan is thinking about, Lu Chain casually says. His chapter is updated by Bind.com. Juniors? Feel free to reprimand? Bai Xuan and Huang Waiyu are on the verge of crying. The heck, we are around the same age and yet you became a senior of our grandfather's generation in an instant. Dude, you are way too formidable. Ignoring the despondent duo, Master Lu Chain looks over in puzzlement. Little brother, to follow Xiao Waiyu here, you probably aren't here for leisure. May I ask what is it that you require my help on? I have heard that Master has a wide collection of books. The reason why I am here today is to find some Fighter 6 Dan cultivation technique manuals to browse through. Hearing Master Lu Chain question his purpose, Zhang Xuan hurriedly replies. The main aim of his journey here is this, he mustn't let this opportunity slip him by. My collection of books is quite vast, but they are mainly on painting. I do not possess many books on cultivation techniques here. As for those on Fighter 6 Dan, I only have a couple of them. They are in my study. Come, I will bring you over to take a look. Hearing his purpose, Master Lu Chain strokes his beard with a smile and stands up. Laoye, your study, the butler Uncle Cheng quickly walks forward and asks questioningly. Laoye, old master. Laoye's study does possess quite a lot of one-of-a-kind limited edition books, and each of them are extremely valuable. He has never allowed any outsiders to enter his study, and even Emperor Shen Jui was blocked at the door when he came the previous time. There was a maid who wasn't aware of the rules and ran in to clean the room. In the end, she was beaten to death. This is precisely the reason why the study of the Lu residence is the forbidden zone within forbidden zones, and no one dares to enter it. Yet, Laoye intends to bring in a young man who he had just met, leaving him at a loss. The reason why I don't allow others to enter my study is for fear that they would afflict it with their vulgarity. Little brother Zhang Xuan is a fellow peer of mine and a master painter. It is an honor of mine to have him enter to offer me some pointers. There is no reason for me to stop him from entering at all. Master Lu Chain's face darkens. Yes. Uncle Cheng retreats in a fluster. He may be ignorant about painting, but even he is able to tell at this point that there isn't a single error in the appraisal of the young man. Otherwise, it is impossible for Laoye's attitude to do an 180-degree turn and act so amiably. Let's go. Master Lu Chain leads the way while Zhang Xuan follows behind him. After a moment, they reach a wide room. As expected of a master whom Huang Waiyu was full of praises for, the collection of books in his study is massive. All kinds of manuals fill the shelves, and there are at least hundreds of thousands of books here. Zhang Xuan feels as though he has walked into a library. Walking between the shelves while taking a casual look, it is exactly as the other party said. The books are all on painting, and there are barely any on cultivation techniques and martial arts. Those on cultivation technique are over here. There are only a handful of them. They were left behind from back when I was still cultivating. Master Lu Chen introduces with a smile as he brings Zhang Xuan towards the corner of the study.